You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
If the dude's coming in, he doesn't know he's fat.
You have Snapchat, winky
I'm
face.
in Target in front of the women's yoga pants section, trying on yoga pants.
I failed at a band.
It's not their fault they were born women.
There's 3 ways you get over on the indies.
Congo threatened to punch me in the mouth.
Don't lose.
Brian Fury just put over a hot dog.
Don't sell.
Bob sucked.
Swear.
150. I was like, get fucked.
He also threatened to kill me and Joel.
He's delusional.
But was he?
No, he's delusional.
Like, he looked amazing. Worst wrestler ever.
Fuck anybody who's not in New England.
I just wanted to have orange and blue gear.
Hey, put that cigarette out, Tarzan.
Now, I don't know if you know this. I used to be a booker. The Fantastic Four. I never fucking heard of you once.
We will be sure to deliver truth, justice, and the New England Pro Wrestling way.
Hello, and welcome once again to another episode of Truth, Justice, and the New England Pro Wrestling Way. As always, I am your host, Matt Spectro, a.k.a. Tarzan Taylor. And I'm joined by my fellow host. He's a former Liberty States heavyweight champion. And he's also a man who I've run out of fun facts for. Julian Starr.
Goes to show how much my partner knows me. You're supposed to know everything about me. Now it seems like you know nothing about me. That's sad, man.
We are on episode 34. That's a lot of fun facts.
I guess. I mean, you could tell people I'm uncircumcised.
I could, but unlike you and a lot of other people, I don't. What goes on behind in bedrooms isn't something
well, that's not bedrooms. That's birth.
I care to air. I
was born natural, the way God intended me to. I know that makes a lot of people uncomfortable.
It doesn't make me uncomfortable. Talking about your penis is not high on my list of things.
Well, I mean, it can be related to wrestling if we want to go there.
For any of you unfamiliar with our show, we are the podcast that speaks exclusively about pro wrestling here in New England, the greatest area of professional wrestling in the country. Julian, tell the people a little bit more about our show.
Truth, Justice, and the New England Pro Wrestling Way is about trying to gain the truth and reality of New England professional wrestling. Most podcasts tend to be a bit too political and a bit too friendly, but here at Truth, Justice, and the New England Pro Wrestling Way, we want to break that mold and do whatever we can to gain everyone's perspective of the truth. We'll dig, we'll probe, we'll do whatever we can to deliver that truth and justice in the New England Pro Wrestling Way.
And virtually every week, we have a guest with us. Now, wanted to go over, we've been having some trouble booking guests lately. Well, it be pandemic. Some of it, people are fired up at first, and then they kind of lose interest. Some people flat out just ignore us. I don't know if they dislike us or they just can't be bothered. So I thought this week we're gonna list a bunch of names we want to be on the show. If you know these people, harass them, let them get them on the show. I'm gonna go. Obviously, last week I mentioned Mike Hollow, Adam Booker, the two guys I want on the show. If you guys are listening, come on the show. Julian, name a couple names.
I don't know anyone. That's not. Todd Graham, because I know that, and Todd Graham did reach out to me. He's actually looking to be on the show. He'd like to respond to one of his enemies, one of our past guests, Todd Sopel. Drew Cordero. I want to get Drew Cordero on of Beyond Wrestling.
I would like Matt and Kyle Storm. I would like to do a whole episode on PWF.
Yep, and at some point we also want to attack Limitless Pro Wrestling and discuss with Randy Carver just how he started from the ground up with Limitless Pro Wrestling.
Steve Ricard is someone I'd like to have on, a very polarizing figure in the New England area, but he's been around for a long time. Definitely a guy I'd like to have on the show.
And Dan Marotti. I tried to actually recruit him as a guest, and his response to me was, get in shape. I bet you'll get a contract.
Heart Attack, Tommy Mack. I'd like to have on the show. He's, since I'm from the Granite State, he's one of the few guys who runs a company in New Hampshire. Definitely want to get him on here.
If I keep eating the way I do, I'm going to have a heart attack. Hey-oh!
I'd like to get Max Bauer as a guy. I don't know if he's even in New England anymore. He's a guy I wouldn't mind having on the show.
Max Bauer? Yeah, I'm sure he is. And yeah, he would actually be great because we could talk about his rise and fall, and that would be a good topic. I mean,
I'd like to get another referee, Kevin Quinn, possibly. Maybe Red.
Yeah, we can do Red. Rich Bass.
Perfect. You know, I did get females back on here and redeem our female episode. Maybe Nikki Rocks, maybe Mistress Belmont, you know, somebody like that. Maybe Taylor Hendricks.
Yeah, I tried to recruit
Alexis
her.
Nevea, you know, any one of them would be.
Yeah. Hey, you guys, reach out to us. I mean, we're looking for people to be on. I know that people get a little skittish because we're always talking about probing and all this, you know, trying to gain the truth and trying to get you guys to open up. But realistically, it's just about having stress-free release of press. And we just want to kind of talk about pro wrestling in a way that most people won't because the business is so afraid to open up.
And obviously a lot of people from Connecticut, but I think their rules are a little stricter right now, so we might have to wait a bit on that with what's going on in the world.
I don't know. I don't pay attention to any of the rules anymore. The only place, because it's closest to me, is Massachusetts. So,
and if we haven't mentioned you and you want to be on the show, by all means, message us. Go to our Facebook. If you know Julian's number, text him, text me.
Yeah.
Get our number. We will come to you. There's no excuse to not be on our show.
My personal Facebook. I mean, go for it. Hit up Susanna if you want. Just don't ask for like nudes or anything. But yeah, just literally hit us all up and we'll try and get you on here. We love to just talk about wrestling and we love spirited debates, and the more fiery, the better.
All right, this is season 2, episode 34. Pretty exciting. Before we get to our guest, you ready for a little trivia?
Am I ever? I mean, well, I did win last time, right?
Right now on the season 2, you're 1-1 right now.
All right, I'll take it. Yes, I am ready then.
Anyone new to the show? Every week I ask Julian a trivia question. Sometimes he goes head-to-head with our guests, sometimes not if he gets it right. Right now, like I just stated, his record on season 2 is 1-1. This is going to be a multiple choice one.
God damn it.
Where we're going to give points. So I am going to give our guests the opportunity. Whoever gets the most points wins.
All right.
This is very relevant to our guest, which you'll all understand when I introduce him. Former guest on episode 5, Maverick Wild, talked about his former company, Front Row Wrestling. He had 4 champions in that company. The company ended in 2005-2006. They had the heavyweight champion, the Granite State champion, the Front Row Wrestling Tag Team champions, and the Front Row Wrestling Women's champion. Who were the last people to hold those 4 titles? For every right answer, you'll get a point. If you can get more points than our guests, you win.
All right. So the last heavyweight champion.
I will not tell you the correct answers until our guest has had the opportunity to answer.
Okay, fair enough. So last heavyweight champion was Maverick Wild. You said tag team, right?
Tag team, Granite State champion, and women's champion.
I'll say women's champion was
the last ever championship of all these titles before the company went under.
I'll say women's champion was Mistress Belmont. I'll say tag team champion was Tony Spencer, and I'm not really sure who his tag partner would have been, so I'll just say I'll try to go half point there.
Okay.
And then Granite State champion, I'm gonna say was you know what? I want to go with that guy who used to do the gimmick that was like Mr. T. I can't remember his name though.
Evan. Something
Yeah, it was like some Evan. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about.
I know. I'm talking about wrestling. I can't. I'm trying to blank on his actual name.
But
B.A. Tatum.
Yes, B.A. Tatum. Yes, thank you.
All right. So we. All right. What did you say for the women's?
Mr. Belmont.
And you said Tony Spencer for one half of the tag team, B.A. Tatum for Granite State, and Maverick Wild. All right. We're gonna see how you go against our guests.
Okay.
Virtual legend in New England.
Is he a New England Hall of Famer?
We're gonna have to find out when he's on the show.
All right.
Well, he is on the show when we when we talk to him. On that note, he is a former Front Row Wrestling heavyweight champion, a former Front Row Wrestling Granite State champion, a former Front Row Wrestling tag team champion, a former Lobsterman's All-Star Wrestling Rocket Weight champion, former Lobsterman's All-Star Wrestling heavyweight champion, and a former APW tag team champion, and possibly in the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, fabulous Johnny Vegas.
Yay!
Hey, buddy.
Well, season 2, I made it in season 2. I never made season 1, I guess, and all these people ahead of me, but that's okay. And I didn't reach out to you. You guys reached out to me, so I didn't have to contact you.
Yeah.
But I'm still here.
But that means you're wanted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that you're...
Or you're desperate.
Yeah.
I'm one or the other. It's okay. I'll take the wanted part.
Are you in the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame?
I am. 2011, I think, so... A few years ago, yes.
This guy cemented
very
his
honored.
name into New England Pro Wrestling.
Oh, it's in
history.
cement, all right.
All right. So the trivia.
Oh, the trivia,
Got
yes.
to get more points than Julian Starr.
Okay,
The company was Front Row Wrestling, run by Maverick Wild. He's a former guest of our show.
yeah.
He ran the company till about, I believe it was either fall or early 2005, maybe possibly early 2006. There were 4 champions: a heavyweight champion, a Grand State champion, tag team champions, and the women's champion. Who were the final 4 to hold those
tough.
championships?
I'm
Can
gonna-
you get more points than Julian
I'm going to
Starr?
say the heavyweight champion was Captain USA.
Okay.
I'm going to say the women's champion. I might have to agree with you, Mistress Belmont. The New England champion. I'm going to say Granite State champion. Sorry, I'm going to say Gary the Torch Cadelis. Tag team champion. Oh, that's a tough one. I'll say Lobster Man and Rip Morrison.
All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a tie.
What?
I actually got one right.
Oh my God!
Wow.
The only thing that you both got right was Mistress Belmont was the final women's champion.
Oh,
See,
man.
wait, all right, heavyweight champion.
You're
Let
going to
me
have to come
see.
up with a tiebreaker.
Can we say Can I just guess? Is the heavyweight champion Antonio Thomas?
That is
No.
not correct.
No.
We're going to keep going until I get bored or one of you get
I'm trying to think. Heavyweight champion.
so tag team champion.
It wasn't Maverick, you said.
No.
Oh, boy.
Are we gonna go back and forth? Or?
If he gets it
Iron
wrong,
Man Tim Walker?
I'm going to give you a hint, and I don't know if this will help you. The man who was the final man to hold this title, the heavyweight title, was also the first ever Front Row Wrestling heavyweight champion. So he started the company and ended it.
He said it on our episode, didn't he?
Yeah, we discussed all 4 of these champions with Maverick Wild when he was on our
Shocker.
See,
show.
at least you talked about it. I didn't.
Yeah, but I have the memory of a goldfish. I don't know anything.
That's why I picked it, because it was discussed on our show, and Johnny Vegas was a prominent first figure on Front Row Wrestling.
First, well, it's not me.
Imagine it was.
I'm not the answer
Boy.
to any of those, am I?
Wait, your turn, sir.
Yo, sorry.
I'm trying to think of
Hmm.
who's
Julian
on.
likes to stall, too.
Trying to
This will give you a 2-1 record, Julian. If
I
you
know.
get this.
I know.
I
I'm
can't
just
believe I can't beat you on this.
all right. I'm really trying to think of who's on this card, and it wasn't. I was really set on Antonio Thomas. Front Row Wrestling, was it Tony Spencer?
No.
Which championship?
The heavyweight
Whoa.
championship.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that's
No.
not correct.
No, not correct. No.
Johnny Vegas, can you get the tiebreaker and win?
Last chip. I'm going to say it was the Lobster Man.
Was the heavyweight champion?
Yes.
I'm sorry, that's also not.
What?
All right, I'm gonna go with Tony Spencer as the Granite State champion.
Ding, ding, ding. You win the tiebreaker.
Wow.
Julian is now 2-1.
There we go.
The tag team champions were Christian Angers and Steve Marriott.
Oh, I forgot about them. I forgot. Yes, of course. I was going to say that when
Final-
Jesse.
Final front row heavyweight champion was our guest, Johnny Vegas.
And you don't remember?
Really?
That's
Defeated Seth
amazing.
Ring for the heavyweight championship.
Yeah, I remember that.
That is
You could have given us a hint. Oh, that wasn't a hint. Oh, right, it was me. Yes, of course it's me.
It's even better that you went. Could it be me? No, that can't.
I knew that, of course. I left as the champion. That's right.
So this week we're going to discuss a little bit of your career, but also all the things you've seen in all your time here in the New England. Been a
Okay.
mainstay for
Does
quite
that feel
some
good
time.
on your leg?
And we always
cord.
start with a little bit of a softball.
Okay.
At what point in your life did you decide pro wrestling was something you were going to take a shot at?
Well, of course, everybody has the same thing that as a kid you always watched it. You always thought about it. I never thought that I'd really wanted to do this until I got into the business on the other end of it, like doing ring announcing, play-by-play, stuff like that through a company called Universal Championship Wrestling run by John McAdam. So that was the part where I never wanted to get in the ring. No part of it. I always told them, don't touch me, or whatever like that. And then I moved on and met guys like Maverick Wild and Sonny Goodspeed and then Jeff Costa, and I started managing Sonny Goodspeed and Jeff Costa. They were the Suicide Blondes. Again, still not wanting to get in the ring until Sonny was doing some training up at Salisbury Beach, and I started to get in the ring, and then I'm like, oh, wait a minute, this might be something interesting. And then it's like the old saying goes, it just happens. It just kind of snowballed, and next thing I know, I was training and being in the ring, and I loved it. So that was 25 years ago.
And when you were a kid, what was your first exposure to professional wrestling?
Well, back when I was a kid, there were no pay-per-views or anything like that. The only thing that was on television was like All-Star Wrestling on Channel 9 or Channel 56. So you had to go to the Boston Garden or you had to go to the Frolics at Salisbury Beach. So I'm dating myself, of course, but my father was good enough to take us, me and my cousins or whatever, we'd go and watch, and I would see the likes of Bruno Sammartino and Chief J. Strongbow and Ivan Putski. And it was a thrill. I mean, I can remember going to the Frolics and getting Ivan Putski's autograph on a little piece of paper. All he wrote was Ivan, and I thought that was the greatest thing. The greatest thing I thought was I touched Baron Miguel Zicluna's cape, and I'm like, oh, it's like velvet. And those things stick out in my mind. I mean, I could have been 10 years old then, 12 years old, and that's when, you get really touched by it, and you go, wow, this is a great thing.
Were you hooked by it at that point? Like,
oh, absolutely.
The moment you saw it, you were like, I'm going to run for this?
Yes, I loved Chief J. Strongbow and Bruno Sammartino. I'm like, this is great. I mean, this would be great to do, but not thinking of it then, just thinking, wow, wrestling is awesome. And again, it wasn't exposed like it is now. It's like, it was like you were in the closet. It's like, well, you like wrestling too? Oh, yeah, okay, now we can talk about it. You're at school and stuff, and you didn't really bring it up unless somebody mentioned it. You go, oh, yeah, I'm a fan too.
That was going to be my next question, was because that was always a big thing, is like people who grew up in the 80s and stuff. Like, wrestling was always for nerds.
Yeah,
unquote.
right.
I didn't know, like, even in your era, was that the same thing?
Yeah, it was kind of like just you either knew people that liked it or you didn't really talk about it because it was like not a cult, but it was like kind of like nerdy. Like, oh, you like wrestling? You like wrestling? And it was great back then. I mean, you watch matches for 45 minutes and they did a headlock and got up and took a shoulder tackle and got back down and did it again, and it was very, very believable. People bought into it. You hated the bad guys and you loved the good guys. There's nobody that liked the bad guys back then.
See, Julian, you don't know what we went through. We're both a little older than you. We, in our era, if you said you like wrestling, the first thing out of everyone's mouth, well, it's fake, don't you?
Yeah, of course.
It's fake. They cut themselves with razor blades. It's fake, Like, for some, I don't know when it stopped, but from my childhood to somewhere in the late 90s, if you admitted to liking wrestling, you automatically had to be told that it was like you were being duped, like you didn't know it. Like,
right, you're right, yeah.
Yeah, no, when I was a kid, I mean, I grew up in the 90s era where wrestling was cool. Yeah. It was cool to guys.
Yeah.
A lot of the girls at school, like, if I ever brought up wrestling, they'd give me that look like, you're going to be a virgin for a long time. But, like, yeah, I mean, I did grow up in a cooler age of wrestling.
Like when, of course I'm older than you guys. So, when watching it in the 70s, yes, I'll say in the 70s, I was a kid. It was not that people would say it was fake then because it was still very believable. It was guys going in separate cars and, it was just different. It was more like the late 70s, early 80s that people would like, oh, yeah, it's fake. Oh, yeah, it's fake. And then when that expose came out in like 98, that's when it really got blown open. And
so I did a little research. I don't know if this is true. They said that you were trained by Gino Caruso. Is that correct?
Yes. So there were a couple of Gino Carusos, from what I understand. So this,
what is this, like the guy in Princess Bride there?
All I can tell you,
I know who
the
you're
dreaded.
This
Pirate
Gino,
Roberts?
Yeah.
This Gino Caruso was from Florida, so I don't know if that helps because there was another like a local one or something. I guess I'm told. I'm not sure, but. This guy was very good. I really enjoyed it. But he taught us how to take every bump there was and do all of it, but he never taught us how really to work. I didn't learn that till I got in contact with Lobsterman, Jeff Costa. Then he kind of showed me how we work. And then the light bulb came on. I'm like, oh, now I get it. Because sometimes I can get away more with my mouth than with my physical ability.
Because you come from a different time where the internet wasn't prevalent and all these other things. How did you go about locating a school once it finally hit you that you did want to kind of...
It was... So when I started with Universal Championship Wrestling, that's how I made my first contacts like Maverick Wild and Johnny Royal, and then Sonny Goodspeed I met, and then he was, again, up at Salisbury Beach where they had Champs Arena that they were doing training, and it was owned by, I think, Big City Mike and Sergeant Muldoon and John Callahan, who had the trainer of Gino Caruso. So I actually went in to watch. because Sonny was helping out at some sort, doing something, and I said, well, I'll watch, and I'll give you a layman's point of view, say what looks good and what doesn't look good. And that's when I met Setherin, Amato Figueroa, and he was smaller like me, and he was getting thrown around a lot. I said, well, I'll get in the ring, and we can do some things so we're the same size. The next thing I know, I'm going back again, and I'm in a training class, and it's like it was like poof, something happened. Next thing I know, I'm training, and then some of the guys said, you would be better inside the ring than outside the ring, and I kept going, and that's really, it's just a weird kind of story, and I kept going and training, and we loved going. There are people that go to training. I don't know why they go sometimes, because do you really want to be here? We never missed. You had to throw us out. We were fortunate, too, because at that time, to watch ECW, you had to have a satellite dish, and they had one at the beach, so the guys that were running the place or keep the place open would watch 11 o'clock at night. So class went from 6 to 9, and they'd stay there. Everybody else would leave. Me and Amato would stay. We'd use the ring all to ourselves. 2 hours. These people would go home. A free ring. Are you kidding me? You have to throw us. So they go, hey, we're going home now. So that's how I think people need to want to train. You got to want to do this. Don't do it just.
I think that's an attitude that's not prevalent today. I mean,
for most,
at the school a lot.
Yeah, for most, I don't know what they're thinking. If they think it's very easy to do, whatever. But the one I always give the example of is Donovan Dijak, Chris Dijak. When he came to train, he was like a show every single time. Whatever drill we were doing, he did it like, wow, this is great. I'd love doing it. Other ones just go through the motions.
What's crazy about Dijak is he trained up until the day he got signed.
Sure.
Every day he was in class until the day he got signed.
And he worked hard. And I kept telling him, watch this guy and do what he's doing. He wasn't a show-off. He wasn't, doing something just to do it to be in front of people. He did it because he wanted to work hard, and he knew what his ultimate goal was. And now he's reaping the benefits.
I was trained by, Brian Fury, Brian Malonis, Handsome Johnny or Ivar, the Tommaso, the names go on, and all of those guys put in that same effort. They worked hard, and they were consistently at class over and over and over again. And that's the same work ethic I had. I trained with you at the school.
Sure,
and we see the same thing. It's like, it almost feels like nowadays students treat it like it's a gym membership.
Yeah.
They show up, they get a workout in, and they're like,
I'll come tonight, but I'm not going to come the next day or whatever. It's like, and you can't do that, you can do it if you just want to be a casual wrestling guy, I guess, if you just want to be the next Joe. And some of them, they don't look the part. Not that I look the part either, but at least, I'm, I don't know, I'm old.
That and the,
but
it's the thing where they show up, right, and they train, but then once class is over, it's over for them.
Oh yeah.
And then when they get there early, there's no wrestling after that. And then when you get on shows, if you happen to be one of those people that's talented, you get on shows. I'm going to cut my training down to once a week.
Yeah,
maybe.
I'm on shows.
Yeah,
we see it all the time.
Yeah,
and it's it's like showing up late. Class at 6 or 6:30. You're here at 7:20.
Blows my mind.
What?
I remember training with Mike Hollow. That was my first trainer when I started originally because Malonis had taken over and was training, and then within 2 weeks or a month of my training, Hollow came back, and I remember being petrified. I was like, if I don't show up on time, he's gonna make me do something I don't want to do, and that scares the shit out of me.
Right.
And I feel like all of that's gone now.
Yeah.
Just there's lack of care.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
So this is way back before anybody could wrestle, which is pretty much what it seems to be now to me. Was anybody discouraging you? Well, you're too small for this. You shouldn't be doing this.
Well, that was an issue. It's like you're small, but it was really the time where they were starting to see guys like Rey Mysterio Jr., Dean Malenko. Even Shawn Michaels, Eddie Guerrero. These guys were not that big, especially the best one is Rey Mysterio. He's tiny. And that kind of opened the door. So now it was more acceptable. I just made it at that point. And then, Gary Cadelis came around, so he was my size. Amato was our size, so we could start doing a thing between us. And then there were a few others here and there that came through. So it made it better that smaller people started to train. Other than, you're 8 feet tall, so which is great, but I'm not, so having smaller guys to work with, then people kind of get lost in that. They don't see it after a while. Or if you're a good performer, the size difference goes away after a while. If you can work it right. So
So you started at the beach, Salisbury.
Mm-hmm.
Describe a little bit what it was like wrestling in that building.
it was okay. It was pretty good. They had a good big size ring. They had, I think, a 20-foot ring, I think. So you corner to corner was like, I'll get there eventually. You're running all that way. So it was good. We had, again, I don't want to make fun of anybody, but there were people that didn't belong there sometimes. But I'm the type that I just go and do my thing. I'm not a big social butterfly type of guy. If you want to talk to me, absolutely. But I'm not going to go out drinking and stuff like that. So I went in, we did our thing, and again, everybody would go home after the end, and me and Amato would stay, and it was great. I loved it. Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. We did at least 3 days a week. I think we did like Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, or something to that effect, and it was a lot of fun. We put in a lot of time, and I don't regret it at all.
What type of wrestling did you try and do? Because there's people, I remember when I started and I finally got decent enough, I picked up on lucha stuff. I loved lucha type wrestling and those types of moves. What was your kind of like?
Well, because, again, I'm not the biggest, I'm not the fastest, I'm not the most athletic, so I knew that, so I started with managing, so I knew that my mouth was going to do better for me than my athletic ability, or maybe the lack of.
All right, so obviously everyone knows that your persona, is a big part of. Is that how you pictured yourself, like the fabulous Johnny Vegas character? Yeah,
because I want it to be colorful. I want people to take notice, and that's, to me, that I'm a showman. That's what I love. That I feed off the energy of the audience, whether they're cheering or booing. I mean, you know what it's like. You guys have been there. Excuse me, you've been there. You know what it's like to get that reaction. When there's no reaction, then you get mad at yourself. I didn't do a good job. But that reaction is nothing like it. And if you haven't experienced it, I can't tell you what it's like. But you guys have experienced it. So,
how long did you train until you got on shows?
I did. I was 5 months. Yeah, so I started in October. I did a March show. So
it's funny you said that. You said how if you don't get that reaction, you said I didn't do enough. Good enough. I agree
Definitely.
with that.
That's.
But I can't tell you the amount of people that have said, "Oh, it was a weird crowd." Well,
No,
it's the crowd's fault. This crowd sucks.
No,
do you agree with that statement ever?
It's all me. No, because you can always get reaction somehow. I don't care if they're a dead crowd. I'm going to do something. I'm going to work harder, and if I don't do it, then it's my fault.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if you trained with him, but you knew Perry Saturn. He came from the same area as you, correct?
Yeah, Perry Saturn actually came to Champs Arena a couple of times, and he was in ECW with he had his tag team partner at
Cronus.
the time, and he brought him
The
up.
Eliminators.
The Eliminators, right. So they actually came up to do a show, too, but Perry came up earlier and taught a class, or a couple of classes, so that was highly interesting. I mean, he was pretty intense and pretty solid. So
I heard back. I don't know now, or in his heyday, but I heard back then he was very intense.
Very intense.
Maybe a
yes.
little reckless with someone
A
who
little,
was smaller than him.
Yeah. He hit pretty hard. I'll tell you that much. He knocked Amato out of his boots one time too. So, but yeah, interesting. But was there giving his time. So I got to give him credit for that. So
at what point did you kind of? Because when I met you, you were pretty much a staple of Lobster Man's company. So when did you kind of make the transition over to Lobster Man's? It wasn't All-Star Wrestling at that point. I think it was Ringside or
could have been Ringside first. Yeah,
or something.
I think it was Ringside first, and then WIW, I believe. Yeah, I think that you just meet people through this business. That's one of the great things. And at the time when I first was at the beach, I think. Sonny and Jeff were that tag team, the Suicide Blondes. I was managing them then. And then, I don't know if that's when Jeff started his promotion, and I kind of went to him, and he also had a school, and that's when I really, again, I can't give him enough credit that I really learned how to work. And if you're a worker, you know what that means, how to really work. And so you can get a lot of mileage out of, I mean, you could be hurt. I mean, Jeff wrestled with a broken ankle for a couple of shows, but he knew how to work, and it's pretty cool that you can kind of manipulate the audience, and getting them to believe somebody that you might not be. I mean, some of you have. I don't have a gimmick. I'm really Johnny Vegas, but some people have gimmicks that they're not really that person.
Did you were you because you were a young spry guy? Did you ever have that attitude that I feel like most of us do? I know I did, where you're like, Yeah, I know that you can make a headlock last 5 minutes, but I'm pretty athletic. I can do some pretty quick. Like, you shun that idea, or did you accept it?
It depends. It's all dependent who you worked with. You're more flexible with different people. If I was with somebody that was more experienced than I was, and you just do what they want, and then if I was more experienced, I would say, hey, we're going to do it my way. So I was always very flexible, and people were flexible with me too. If I couldn't do some things, they'd have to scale it down. I tend to work slowly. Where somebody wants to run and gun, it's like, hey, I'm really not going to do that. So flexibility is great for this game. You can't go into every single match with the same stuff all the time. You just can't do it. Some people can't do things.
I'm saying, like, back in the day, though, when you were younger, and the reason why I say that is because when I first started, I was taught the same thing: slow down, make things count, blah blah blah. But the back of my head was like, I could do backflips, I could do all this cool shit, I could run and gun. Did you have the same mindset when you were younger learning wrestling?
I never really wanted to do a lot of flippy things, so I was happy doing it that way and getting more out of, say, a headlock or a hip toss than doing a moonsault or dive over the top rope type of thing. So I was happy with that because I never really wanted to do too many things like that. I mean, I had my share of diving over the top rope, though, but no moonsaults or anything like that. So.
Yeah, no, I'm just curious.
And I don't know the year, but I believe at Richard's Catering Hall was the first ever Jeff show.
Yeah.
The Lobsterman's first ever show. Were you on that
I
show?
don't think I ever worked at Richard's Catering. I don't think. I was there because I remember being there a couple of times. I was really new then, so I was just starting out when he was there, but then that they changed the place or whatever. But so I don't think I ever appeared there. Funny you bring that up.
Now, the name Johnny Vegas and that whole gimmick, how did that come about?
Gimmick? That's my official name.
All right, yeah, I know you did come from the casino earlier, but...
Yes. So when I was training, especially with Jeff, he says, what do you want to be? So actually, I wanted to be Mr. Fabulous. That's from the Blues Brothers movie. The trumpet player's name was Mr. Fabulous. I thought that was a cool name. I want to be Mr. Fabulous. And Jeff said, well, you like Vegas. Why don't you do something with Vegas? Be like Johnny Vegas. I said, oh, wait a minute. When you go to Las Vegas and you drive down towards the Strip, there's a big sign that says, welcome to fabulous Las Vegas. I said, that's it. I'll be fabulous Johnny Vegas. And that's how it is, and that's how it stuck. So,
did you have any gimmicks or nicknames or personas before that?
Prior to that, I was managing. So managing the Suicide Blondes, I was Mr. French. So Mr. French is an old... This was by Jeff Costa, an old 60s show called Family Affair. It was a widower and his two kids, and they had a butler, and his name was Mr. French. He was a big fat guy played by Sebastian Cabot. Wore a tuxedo. I said, I have a tuxedo. I got a tuxedo, white gloves, and a red feather duster. These guys would come out in their blue sequin jackets. I would dust them off, and I loved it. So I was Mr. French. Then they split up. Sonny Goodspeed turned a good guy. I went good with him, and I became Fabulous Frenchie. And then I started working a little bit like that until I got my gimmick now, and I've been that since. There was a short period of time where I was the Blue Power Ranger.
For what?
Well, Maverick Wild's wife, I think, or Sonny Goodspeed's wife made an outfit that fit me, and I got a mask and tights over it, and Jeff said, let's try it. So I didn't like it only because I wore a mask. It was very hard to breathe and see. So it was a little tough, but I couldn't talk at all, and they just the mask on, but I had to do more flippy things or divey things. So, but I just enjoyed Johnny Vegas. I just like that,
I wish you would go back to Mr. French now. Did you have a thin mustache?
I did not. I did not.
I think that thing came from Jeff's love of luchador wrestling, the Power Ranger.
Could be,
Jeff
yeah.
had a real love.
He
for
did.
luchador
He did.
Did he really?
wrestling. Loved luchador wrestling.
That feels like I feel like they're very gimmicky, but at the same time, I feel like that's way out of his realm of wrestling.
Because he went to Mexico a couple of times too, and worked shows and did stuff, and he brought a couple of Mexican guys back with him on some shows. I remember doing a tag match. It was me and a Mexican versus Amado and a Mexican. So they all speak Spanish except for me. I'm the odd man out. I'm like, okay, here we go. So I just kind of followed along, and it was interesting. But they were great. But you had to watch everything. They were coming from all sides, every angle, and it was really cool though. I loved it. It's very neat.
So describe really the differences between wrestling on the beach and wrestling for the Lobster Man.
They were similar, because the shows are pretty much like that, and he used some of the same guys on the shows, and it was laid back. It was no pressure. It was really a good time. Big City Mike and John Callahan treated me like gold, as did the Lobster Man and Maverick Wild. These guys all treated me great. I don't know if you want me to say anything bad about these guys, but I'm not going to, because everybody treated me so fairly and like I was a superstar, and I was just regular guy. So
I think what Tarzan's trying to get at was, you said this Gino guy.
Yeah.
You learned how to work with Lobster Man.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know if the training styles were different or if wrestling.
Yeah, again,
spots.
Gino did a lot of just bumps and how to bump, how to do this, how to take this, how doing the Ric Flair bump off the top rope, and we would bump with our feet on the ground. Then your feet had to be as high as the first rope, then the second rope, then the top rope. Tossing each other outside the ring, inside the ring, all these things like that. Working on stuff like that, working on flipping over the back this way here. Where Jeff now, we're going to learn the psychology of working a match, how to put the match together, what goes where, when to stop, when to use your mouth. You can't always talk because then you get blown up, and so that's where the differences were a little bit there. But I learned early on that one of my first matches, maybe the first match, I worked with D'Amato. He was like not Sutherin, but he was the Wolverine. I think he was Wolverine then. And I, middle of the match, I just stopped and I turned to the crowd and I said, "I can't wait for tomorrow because I get better looking every day." And they popped. I'm like, "Wow, that worked." I'm like, I'm never have to take another bump in my life.
That's an amazing line.
It was great. I remember it, and I learned now that I can use my mouth and perform. And it's been quite a ride and quite some fun.
No, I'm not trying to get you to say bad things about it. I'm just asking because I think it's an interesting story.
We're trying to goat you into burying someone. We'll get there.
This isn't like a gotcha.
Now you said it. So yeah, it was great. They treated me. Everybody's treating me very nicely.
One thing, I trained at Lobster Man, which actually my first day in the business. I met you. You probably don't remember.
Of course I do.
Yeah, he didn't remember the 6'7" guy who walked through the door.
Well, I remember I said to a Jew.
You said to a Jew? Is this a
I'm
joke
not
you're
Jewish,
telling?
but
I
that's
said
okay.
to you.
Yes.
Well, when do we break out the steel chairs? I don't think you were very impressed.
I probably said the same thing I tell everybody. I said, we don't teach that. That's just something you just do. Here, bend over.
Sounds like equivalent to the chili joke.
That was an interesting day because we did a tryout, which actually I don't think anybody does anymore.
Okay.
Where Jeff had us do, I think it was 50 squats, might have been like 25 push-ups, 25 jumping jacks, and we broke in and locked up. You guys taught us. I locked up with Bob Evans. I was taught.
Okay.
Do you think that's something that should be done more to try and weed out where you could maybe tell how serious people are right off the bat? Or is that something that's just, some people have accused it of just being a way to make a little extra money?
I can't say for sure, but I'm sure there are schools that just want to take your money. Maybe. There are some that, will take everybody, but they will, what you put into it, you're going to get out of it. So we don't really, I know we've never turned anybody away unless there was some kind of really physical disability or anything like that. But basically, if you wanted to train, we're going to train you. Because, again, for me, I would give everybody at least a shot because I don't have a crystal ball. You never know. I mean, there are guys that you look down and you go, wow, they made it? And maybe they don't look the best, or maybe they weren't the tallest or the fastest or whatever. But there's a chance that something can happen. I mean, that maybe somebody's better than what you think just from their appearance. And, of course, we've been fooled, too. I go, man, this kid's going to be great. And all of a sudden, it's like, what? What happened?
I mean, really, if you think about it, think about Zach Gowen. Do you think that when he went to a wrestling school, they were like, a kid with one leg, he's going to make it? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But this kid got on WWE, had a job forever. So you're right. You never know who's going to make it.
You never know.
But at the same time, I mean, I don't know, because the business anymore isn't get the people that don't try hard, get them out of here. That doesn't exist anymore. Everyone's accepted, whether you're like a backyard or not.
And it's hard because it's still a business, so you don't want to chase anybody away, chase money away. You know, somebody wants to pay. They're saying, "Look, I'm going to pay you to come here," and you say, "No, we're not going to take you." You know, it's not good business. It's not a right to want a business. You'll run yourself right into the ground.
But do you think like the tryout aspect is good? Like maybe you can tell before these guys sign up for 3,000 or whatever. Then, you know.
Yeah, but again, how do you tell somebody, "No, you're not good enough to come here," and they go, "Yeah, I'm going to work hard and do it."
Now, Tarzan, are you saying that like if we were like, "Oh, you really want to do this?" Okay, like. For example, when I did jiu-jitsu, Kevin Landry was my teacher, not the Kevin Landry from wrestling. Right. And he gives you a free class. Yeah. He runs you through the ringer. And he's like, if you like it, you'll sign up. If you don't, you won't. You saying something like that?
That's something where you get a little taste of what it is what's expected of you, so you can kind of reflect, is this something?
That's why I enjoy doing the fantasy camp. For one day, for 4 hours, you come and you get a taste of what it's like. You feel the ropes, you feel the ring, you feel everything. And there are people that said, I can never do this. I have total respect for you guys because now I know some of it. And we really just scratched the surface. You guys have all been there. But it's a good taste to say, yeah, I think this is something I want to do. And then the ones that want to do it will sign up for the school. But there are some that have tried it and go, oh, wow, this is really hard.
Probably not good for business if you continue to do that. Like literally if every single person who walks through the door and says, this is my dream, I want to try it. Mm-hmm. And we'd run them through the ringer. Mm-hmm. Think about how many people would not sign up because of that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think in that sense, Tarzan, like, yeah, more or less, you got to weed that tryout stuff out because then you start to lose money. You know what I mean?
You know, if a guy can't do 100 squats, you're going to say, well, you can't do this, but maybe he's a great performer. You know, maybe something else. Maybe he can, I don't know, maybe he's great doing backflips or something like that, but for some reason he can't do 50 push-ups. I don't know. So it's a different game. It's hard, but it's a lot of fun.
So one thing, I don't even know if you're aware of the critique back then of guys who came from Jeff's, especially the heels, was a lot of them had the same match. Mm-hmm. Like they had the same match with everybody, no matter who they were. And I wasn't a heel there, so I mean, and you can argue any school would produce the same type of wrestlers. Mm-hmm. Would you think that there was anything to that where a lot of the heels in Lobster Man's company tended to have the same type of match?
I would say no, because again, I played the heel most of the time for me, and then there was other people, but maybe I didn't watch that closely, but I didn't see it. I just. Again, I can only speak for myself that you just try and do different things, and just being in the ring. Sometimes you just experiment on things. You say you try something in a match, you go, "Wow, that worked! I'm going to keep that," or "Oh, I'm never going to do that again." So I never really saw people doing the same stuff over and over again. So I didn't see that.
Well, chaotic has always had that stigma of chaotic is robotic because everyone who trained under Mike Hollow wrestled the same way.
Okay,
understandable because you're all being trained by that one guy.
Right.
But did anyone kind of try to think outside the box with Jeff's in your eyes? Because I mean, if everyone's being labeled the same, it seems like everyone's not thinking outside the box.
I think there was some. I remember like Chad Storm, Chad Thunders.
I was going to say Tarzan's going to know these people more.
Prince Charming, Chad Street,
when he was
whatever you want to call
playing heel, he was doing a good job of doing different things, and he would do the moonsault type of thing, and and so that was different. That was something Jeff didn't teach, stuff like that. So even when Maverick was heel as opposed to baby, you saw something different, and I didn't really see a lot of the same stuff. I don't shoot.
It's just one man's opinion. I'm just I'm getting your opinion. You don't have to.
He's like, you're not going to get me, Tarzan.
I'm tough, I'm tough. I'm really tough.
Now, you're a smaller guy, and
yes,
back then, even more so than now, was there ever a guy you're like, oh, the hell with that? I don't want to get in the ring with that guy.
Rick Fuller scared me. I was afraid of him because the only time I was ever with him was in Battle Royals. But I tell you, he took care of me 100%. He never chopped me. Even throwing me out over the top rope, he kind of like picked me up and placed me down. I was always grateful for that. But pretty much, he was the only one that really scared me. But other than that, I loved working with everybody. I mean, I wish I had a chance to work with more people, but sometimes the size difference kind of does stuff. Some people don't like that size difference.
Tarzan, were you ever nervous about Ric Fuller?
Yeah, because with Rick, you just how can I put this? The match you had with Rick depended on Rick's mood when he walked in the building.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes Rick was in a great mood and had a lot of fun, great matches. Other days, Rick didn't want to be there. Those are the days I didn't want to work with Rick.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I was just excited to work with Rick because I'm this young kid and I'm like, wow, this guy worked for WCW, blah, blah, blah. Like, super pumped. Also, extremely nervous he was going to chop my soul out of my fucking body. So,
oh yeah,
I shared a similar fear where I was like, that's a grown man.
Yeah, it's a little. I mean, he's a big guy and has a lot of history and but he was great to me. That's all I can tell you. Sorry.
Most part, never had an issue. Just Rick was a guy that if he walked in the building in a bad mood, he's not someone you wanted to wrestle.
Well, you seemed to be in a good mood when we worked, so someone must have gave him an Iggy of beat the shit out of this young kid because he thinks he's fucking better than he is.
I remember the first time Rick let me get offense. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Rick's another guy.
You should have chopped him.
Can you imagine?
Rick's another guy I want to definitely get on the show sometime.
Yeah.
We can have a tab.
Yeah. Now, back in the day, not as much now, but it was always a classic. The little guy was the babyface a lot. The old David and Goliath story.
Right.
But you were a heel majority of your career, so.
Yeah. And so it was always interesting because if I worked with a bigger baby face, it was a little difficult, but, you just do it. And I made it like a challenge because that's what I try and teach now is that you have to prepare every match differently. You can't. I'm not going to wrestle the same against you as I against you, Julian. It's going to be different, And if I was wrestling the Lobster Man as opposed to Gary Cadelis, everything's different. Every opponent's different. They're going to do different things. There's going to be size differences, and you got to take that into consideration. So I always like the challenge of it. I enjoyed that.
Let's move to the future here. Based on what you see now,
yeah.
I mean, you see that size almost doesn't matter. I mean, you'll watch someone like Keith Lee or Josh Briggs diving over the top rope like he's the cruiserweight.
Yeah.
Someone like you right there to catch him. So, I mean, how do you feel about this growth in wrestling and the way it's changing? And would you be willing to catch someone like Josh Briggs for a dive?
Probably not. If I was with a couple other people, maybe it's a little easier. But one-on-one, that's a tough catch, and you don't want to hurt anybody either. God forbid he lands on the ground. You're like, why weren't you there?
Yeah, like Brian Fury did to me.
Well, he told me he was going to do that though, so that was the funny part.
Didn't catch me, and then now my tailbone, and now my legs are tingling.
Because actually, he goes, watch this, and then you did your thing, and I'm like, yeah, that's funny.
I'm kidding. I'm going to clear his name. He didn't actually do that. He saved me from my head cracking open, but either way, go ahead.
Yeah, it's, I think that some of these people think they have to do more colorful things, and they're getting away from my era of more showman's type things is people want to see action all the time. We always taught that the ropes are moving, something's happening, where, I grew up in the 70s and early 80s wrestling before stuff really went crazy, and guys would do mat wrestling, but now you do it and people are that's boring, so you can't get much out of that anymore. So now people have to be more inventive, but it's sad because a lot of time I get disappointed when people are using finishers just as transitional things. Super kick, Shawn Michaels made a living out of that. People doing 6-7 super kicks in a match. Stone Cold Stunner, a clothesline was a finisher for Stan Hansen. A backbreak, atomic knee drop was Spiros Arian's finisher. And all these things are becoming like automatic, like they just people are kicking out from them.
And based on all that, I mean, in your opinion, where's the ceiling? You know what I mean? Like, where's the point where they're going to hit where you can't invent anymore? Like, there's what else are you going to do? There's 100 moves. We're kicking out of like devastating pile drivers off like forklifts at this point.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, where's the ceiling? Where's the point where we've hit to the point where like crowd's like, I don't like wrestling anymore because I haven't seen anything new.
One of the biggest things, Jake the Snake Roberts, the big thing he'd set up for that DDT. Oh my! Nobody gets up from it. Absolutely nobody. Now it's like somebody does a DDT and you're just
it's a double down.
It's whatever. Yeah,
that's what it is. It's a double down or a cutoff or
and like you said, now it's like you get out the knives. We're gonna have to cut this guy to stop the match or something.
I don't know what's like death match, which was shunned when I was starting to wrestle because that was what quote unquote backyarders did. Like deathmatch wrestling's gonna have to make a resurgence and be mainstream because at this point the crowd's just gonna want to watch people kill each other, right?
I guess. I mean, you've seen stuff like guys going through tables. They go for the pin, 1, 2. Oh, he kicked out. But then now we beat him on a crossbody. It's like, wait a minute, he's kicking out the crashing through the tables and stuff, and right, where does it end? You know, and then people get desensitized to it. I mean, I remember when I went to ECW match. It's like first match, the tables, chairs, everything. By the fourth match, you're like, oh, okay, I've seen it all already. These guys already bled in the first match, and they're using everything. It's like, oh well, it's at a kendo stick. So where does it? How are you going to end things?
Now, with the wrestling that you obviously learned with Lobster Man stuff, which was get mileage out of everything, how is your body holding up? Because speaking as a guy who did all the dives and stuff, I have countless back problems. I've had neck surgery. My body's already destroyed, and I'm only 31. So, I mean, how are you holding up?
That's the thing. I think people always ask about injuries, and I've been fortunate because I didn't do a lot of crazy things. I didn't do a lot of that stuff, and other than the hip tosses and the couple of occasional arm drag, maybe body slam, stuff like that. But
You don't take arm drags.
Arm drags.
You don't take
I'll
arm
take
drags.
It depends who it's from. No backdrops though. So I think that gave me longevity. My back is sore a lot. Getting up in the morning, I'll go. Or after a show, you drive home, and then I get out of the car and I go, oh, jeez, like that. So mainly it's just my back, but other than that, I've been fortunate. Other guys have had serious problems, knees and legs and shoulders and all these things that I've been lucky. So
we're talking now late 90s, early 2000s. You're pretty much exclusively with Lobster Man's company, if I'm not mistaken.
Pretty much, yeah.
And Lobster Man.
Occasionally, I would do Green Mountain or Power League Wrestling or occasional showcase, or if somebody called, I would okay, sure.
This is pre internet being a huge.
Yeah, it's hard because I didn't reach out to many. They would have to call you and stuff like that.
For all those who don't know, Lobster Man was known for some pretty crazy out there stuff.
Oh yeah.
Some of it like violent stuff, some of it very cartoony, some of it
3D wrestling.
People, like the fourth podcast episode
people ask all the time about it. I said it was great. He bought 3D glasses, sold them for $1 a piece. And it was, people bought into it. Sometimes it was carnival-like, but it was very entertaining. The shows, we had a great time. The Hudson Lions Hall was a great place for us. I would love being in the back, and they'd say, we need more chairs. When I hear that, I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. And just, some of the things were hokey, but very funny. But he was passionate about it. He said, let's try this or whatever. And he would just throw stuff and see what sticks to the wall. And then there was some traditional shows too, but it was a lot of fun. I thought it was fun. So.
He did the roller derby match? That was
roller derby. He did the Siamese twins, which is absolute riot. Siamese twins as wrestlers was great. He had guys like Kevin Nashua, Scott Hollis. He had Homozuna.
Homozuna.
Try doing that in 2000.
I was going to say.
Absolute funny, great stuff. It was a lot of. He had the American Warrior.
The Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, he had
I was trying to figure out.
Chief J. Strongbow.
What was the match he did? We had a wrestler at each exit, and you had to escape.
Oh, I thought this was great stuff. You had to try to escape the building, and the guy's blocking the door.
These sound like games that kids make up. Like when they're in the house, and they're like, all right, you can't go through this, and the floor is lava, and... I mean...
So, I'm sure he caught a lot of flack from it, because they were the traditionalists that I want to see a wrestling match. But he did have some wrestling matches. Maverick Wild is a great wrestler. He had some great, good wrestlers. But sometimes you got to beef up the gate a little bit and bring some people in and say, wow, this could be interesting. And it worked sometimes,
And we can't go without mentioning his most famous match, the toilet bowl match.
The toilet bowl, yeah. I was in a toilet bowl match, too, so it was very popular.
Explain to Julian and any listeners who don't know how you win a toilet bowl match.
By winning, it's not by pinfall, submission, or otherwise. You would win by grabbing your opponent and putting his head in the toilet bowl that was at ringside and filled with stuff. So It was very, very entertaining. People really loved it. We'd put on a little platform, and the toilet bowl was there for everybody to see, and you lost by getting your head dunked in that toilet.
Weirdly enough, that does sound like something I'd like to watch because I would like to see the outcome, how
Yeah.
the reaction is, what's in the toilet. So that does seem legit.
In many ways, I think Jeff deserves some credit. He predated like some of the horseshit that Shakara does, and some of these other the stuff you see in some of these weird Japanese matches, and he did that kind of goofy stuff long before really anyone. And now it's like everyone's like, "Oh, wrestling's fake," so we can do a superhero versus an alien. But he did
How
a lot.
crazy is that? Like back in the day, like that was shunned because it was like, that's stupid. It's cartoonish. Like wrestling has to be protected. It's real. And now the door's open. Everyone knows the kayfabe's dead, and they're like, this is some great shit. He's wrestling a doll.
Yeah, he had an alien. He had Stingray, so he was inventive with doing things. He had a goat wrestling. He had a boxing match.
It was sumo boxing, wasn't it?
I think it was sumo boxing, yeah. But and then sometimes he would implement people that were part of the fundraiser. Let them referee or something like that. And it was really, I had a great time. It was really a fun time.
Are you grumpy at all? Because I say this with knowing and accepting. I think Tarzan and I have become grumpy, don't like the way wrestling or something. You know what I mean? Like wrestling changed in a way I think we don't accept deep down. And so I don't know, are you similar to that? Because like the example I just stated, something that wasn't acceptable in that time is now acceptable. And then, but you were grown to protect the business, and now business, like, does that stuff upset you?
The part that I don't like is people aren't protecting the business. I mean, slapping the legs and, and I don't know, stuff like that. It really bothers me, and doing stuff that maybe they shouldn't be doing, little guys tossing big guys around like they're same size, and just we grew up on kayfabe. When I was training, somebody walked in that room, there was silence. You didn't say a word, and you just went about your business and did your thing. But now it's like, hey, come on in, and it kind of hurts a little bit because and then that expose that came out in 1998, I think it was, and really showed everything. And but it's been exposed, but still. There's some that's not exposed. People don't know how we get from A to B, and they know that maybe the outcomes are predetermined. Maybe, people still ask me, and I'm like, I don't know, I go to win. I'm in it to win it. I'm not going to lose. But and then that's the part of bringing them along the ride too. It's almost like going to the movies. You want to be just engulfed in it and believe that I know Schwarzenegger's not the Terminator, but for 2 hours you go, wow, that's pretty cool. Whatever. So, and that's kind of lost a little bit now, and that's what hurts for us old guys that grew up on really believable wrestling. So now it's more showy.
All right, now back to the Lobster Man. This might sound critical.
Yes.
But I want to say before that Jeff trained me.
Mm-hmm.
I owe a big portion of what I've got to do in this business to Jeff, so I'm not knocking him. I thank him very much.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have got to do all the things I got to do in wrestling if it wasn't for Jeff. But the one critique I had of Jeff, he almost was like a split personality. One show he'd be, wrestling is real, we got to treat it as real. And then the very next show would be like, they don't believe anything, we got to be hokey. You'd be a heel one night, babyface the next. Someone would bring it up, he said, these marks don't remember anything. Do you agree at all that Jeff was a little bit over the map sometimes with the way he did things?
Yeah, I like continuity. I like, if you're going to run consistently, have some type of storylines, whatever. It's like, I remember, I think Sonny was saying one match or one show he did, he took all the titles and left with all the belts. He had everything. And then the next show, everybody had titles back or something. So it kind of like dropped sometimes. And I like, you like a story. It's like, hey, I'm feuding with this guy. Oh, now it's going to come to a head. Or, maybe you work on a couple of matches leading up, maybe a couple of times then. But it was almost like he just did show to show to show to show. Everything was in that one little package. Whatever the show was, it started and ended that night. So I kind of like, let's get them to come back because, hey, we didn't finish our feud. So that's the only thing that I think that if I had any input that I would like to have seen differently.
When you, at this time when you're working for Jeff, did you decide, were you working anywhere else?
I think we talked a little like Green Mountain Wrestling, Vermont, PLW, Power League Wrestling in Rhode Island.
Did you have any issue with you working in
No.
other quote unquote territories?
No, not with me. Never. No, he never said anything like that. And I regret too when Steve Bradley ran his school. He invited me up numerous times, and I never went. Maybe I was lazy at that point or whatever. I don't know. My work schedule was still weird at that time. I was working a lot, real job. But I do regret not being part of that at all. One of the things that really bothers me that I didn't go up there.
I have a question for you. Just dawned on me, and it's a little out there, but have you ever worked Mr. Ulala?
Mr. Ulala?
He doesn't know who he is. Okay, I just
I don't think I do.
He's a guy from ECWA. He's from Delaware. You guys have a very similar in-ring style.
Okay, no,
I just
no.
Literally, the booker inside my head just went, that would be fucking amazing.
I mean,
to
I
watch.
could have because I don't remember everybody.
No, you would remember Mr. Ulala, I promise you. I
try to
Mr.
remember
Ulala,
everybody, but
and all I was in a locker room with him.
Okay.
Like he's funny, but yeah, the booker inside my head just went, I wonder if they've ever worked because I want to watch that match, but I guess not.
Maybe it still will happen. Who knows?
Yeah, in 2020, what, 2?
Yeah.
At this point.
So, obviously, you've gone on later to help out training at schools and whatnot. Were you ever doing that when you were with Lobsterman, or is that something that came later on?
A little bit, yeah. It was. We all kind of helped each other at Jeff's school too. So it was kind of cool that he would give us some leeway in helping. When you started, we kind of helped each other, I guess. And
Yeah, I agree. Jeff did most of the directing traffic outside, and then I'd work with everybody.
Yeah, and I like that part too. I enjoy teaching. We had working with Julian. I mean, we had a great time. I loved that, especially when we could be together. We kind of worked well. So it's kind of a fun thing. So that answers your question.
I mean, you were wrestling during the Attitude Era. You were wrestling during the Ruthless Aggression Era. You were wrestling into the PG era. Do you think the changes in the wrestling that we all saw on television over the years was changing how people walked into the schools or the promotions? Was the attitude changing due to what was going on in mainstream wrestling, or was it pretty much everybody's the same and you get the same things year after year after year?
Yeah, pretty much it's the same. But people have. They like who they like. Some people are stuck on the Attitude Era with, when they had that Degeneration X and stuff like that, and it was a great time, And I like gimmicky stuff, Now you're at the time where people just have their regular names, and it is different. I don't love it as much as I did. I think the Attitude Era was awesome. I mean, just like taking Stone Cold Austin against. Stone Cold, when he was a babyface, he faced one of the biggest heels in the company who was not a wrestler, and that's Vince McMahon. And I tell people all the time, I said, this is a guy that's not a wrestler. He became the top heel in the company, showing that how it can be done. And when he would be in the ring talking and Stone Cold's glass would break and the music would hit and his eyes would get big and he'd do that gulp, you couldn't wait for Stone Cold to get in the ring and do stuff. Mm-hmm. And this is a guy that's not a wrestler. How does he get it done? You prove to the company that, hey, I can do this. I don't need you, maybe. But in times of change now, I mean, if that happened now, it's like, I don't know if it would get the same outcome. So I think that people have stuff in their head. Stuff gets burned into your head from different eras like that. I mean, some people come in now and they want to be Seth Rollins, but they'd be like, I don't want to be Doink the Clown. I don't want to be Stone Cold Steve Austin. Can't do that.
I feel like everyone wants to be Stone Cold Steve
I guess,
Austin,
yeah.
but I know what you're saying. I don't think anyone wants to go in being Goldust.
Right.
I don't think anyone wants to be Duke
Tatanka.
Tatanka. I don't think anyone wants to be a circus clown.
Right. No, they don't want to do it.
I'm a wrestler.
I want to be Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
I want to be Seth Rollins. I want to be Roman Reigns. I want to be John Moxley.
A wrestler with a little bit of grit. That's basically what 90% of wrestling is now. Everyone is just a wrestler with a little bit of grit.
Yeah.
The only person that has a form of gimmick at this point is Seth Rollins, really. and he's playing the savior gimmick or whatnot,
Right.
Where he feels like he can save people, and he's got he's got his face on like a mural now, and all this stuff. So like stuff like that, and I'm into it. Like I'm like, okay, I kind of.
Or maybe the guy that does the Funhouse there.
I love Bray Wyatt. I love Bray.
When you get
Wyatt.
old, you forget things.
I love Bray Wyatt.
Yeah,
One of
I
my
mean
favorite
stuff like
people to watch.
gimmicky things is great, but you don't see stuff like Mankind anymore. The Undertaker's done. That was probably one of the greatest gimmicks of all time. And I don't know.
That's I think my biggest problem with wrestling is it's just it lost its like circus feel.
Yeah, you
it's
wanted
now a
that
sports feel.
Yeah. I always liked that showy type of thing.
Yeah, like
the $1 million man Ted DiBiase is gonna kick the basketball out of the kid's hand before he bounces it 10 times.
Biggest thing that they
$100.
always told you in wrestling was like, oh, you have clowns and you have like gimmicks and you have the big the Bigfoot hairy woman and you have the strong man and you have the acrobat, and now wrestling's like you have 100 acrobats.
Right.
You might have one clown,
Right.
but there's 100 acrobats. Like it's Circus Soleil.
I mean,
that's
I
what as Sherman put it. He said Circus Soleil in 2020.
I used to like Big Boss Man. The guy's a former security guard or whatever he was like that. I mean, a gimmick like that. It's like, wow, he comes out with a nightstick. He's got handcuffs. This is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Again, Ted DiBiase, he's a millionaire. He's coming out. He's doing things. He's got a bodyguard. Even Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan's this big thing like that, and you got Brutus the Barber Beefcake. It's just kind of cool. I just thought those gimmicks were kind of cool, and now it's like,
and a lot of people would argue and say like right now you can't get that done because of the era in wrestling, but that's not true.
I don't know if it can be done again.
That's not true.
I don't know,
because you could pull. The problem is what they try to do is rehash gimmicks with people you already know their history. Mm-hmm. Like that's like pulling Dolph Ziggler in and being like, he's the $1 million man now.
Right?
Like, no, he's not. I know Dolph Ziggler
is they present a guy as an alien, and then the minute you turn the show off, that guy's on social media saying, "I'm not really an alien. I'm just kidding."
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, social media is tough now.
It's, which
I don't want to know that you're a regular person. If I'm a fan, I don't want to see you at Walmart. I want to see you as different. We like different,
All right, so we are going to take a break.
Oh, okay.
When we come back, we're going to discuss, branching out, doing other places other than Lobster Man, you becoming a wrestling trainer, as well as your appearance on Monday Night Raw. All that and more when we come back on Truth, Justice, and the New England Pro Wrestling Way.
If you haven't heard yet, the Homewrecker Podcast isn't your typical podcast.
Listen to me, the Golden Greek Alex Arion, and my lovely trophy wife Monique as we discuss a wide range of topics.
Like aliens, ghosts, conspiracy theories, relationships, movies, TV shows, books, and pretty much whatever else we want.
Aliens? Ghosts? Conspiracy theories? Who believes in that crap?
Oh, we do.
Allegedly.
Supposedly.
In theory. So subscribe and listen to the Homewrecker Podcast on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, or Google Play.
My parents used to own a video store.
It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth? That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind.
And we're back with Truth, Justice, and the New England Pro Wrestling Way. And we're here with fabulous Johnny Vegas.
Why we had to wait for the second season to get me, I still don't know. Show number 48 or whatever it is, and all these people ahead of me.
Well, they were clamoring for you. See, the crowd kept asking. They were like, "Where's Johnny Vegas? Where's Johnny Vegas?"
We had to build to it.
Yeah, it's like Bret Hart's entrance. You got to make him wait.
Who's the booker here? Am I not getting booked, huh?
Do we even have a booker on this show?
We need one because we've been having a hard time getting.
You're going to get one. You're going to get Adam Booker. You're going to get him.
All right, so
Yes.
You wrestled for Jeff for quite a while.
Yes.
But at one point, I think it was around 2002 or 3, maybe, he stopped running shows. And that's when you kind of, even though you were wrestling for Maverick, who kind of took over the extension from Raw Wrestling, you kind of branched out and did some other stuff at that point. At that point, were you thinking of, maybe I've had enough, I'm done with this? Or did you really, really have a burning desire to keep going?
No, I wanted to go. I still want to go. A goal with a lot of people was chaotic wrestling. I always wanted to, when I was younger, I didn't think that I was good enough for chaotic wrestling until I saw some of the guys. They go, oh my God, they stink. No, I'm just kidding. I'm like, oh my God, they booked these guys. I wasn't smart enough to branch out and get a lot of contacts. I was kind of a little bit lazy when that. I was like, well, maybe they'll call me type of thing. But then I reached out a little bit, and all depends who was doing the booking, that if they want to book me or not. I'm not going to say any names. Just look at the party and whistle.
And did you ever think of, elevating, like you'd be something like on television, like wrestling would be a job for you?
No, never. Basically because of my size, and I actually got in it. I was a little older when I started. I know I look young. I look very youthful, but that I never had aspirations of WWF, WWE, TNA, or any of those things like that. That you have it in the back of your mind. Yeah, I'd love to do this, but I always knew because of my size and I just didn't think I had the ability to do what they were looking for, and especially the size. Because that time Vince McMahon liked guys that were 6'5" and over and 240 pounds and big. So that's why I said no.
Yeah, there was that time where you had to have a certain. They were very more so than any other era. You had to look a certain way.
You had to be like an ex-wrestler, an ex-football player, something that was previously some sort of sport or famous. So I mean, I grew up. That was when I started wrestling, and I was screwed too. So,
So I wouldn't say Maverick took over the company, but Jeff's company, Lobster Man's, kind of morphed into Front Row Wrestling. Maverick took it over, becoming the booker, owner, promoter. Would you say it was there ever even a question of not doing it, of not working for Maverick?
Oh no, never. No, they treated me like gold.
You were the first ever champion.
That's a good point. Yeah. No, I've a lot of respect for Maverick. He treated me very, very well. I never not wanted to go to a show. I always enjoyed it. He booked some good guys, and we had a lot of fun. It was like not a lot of pressure, which I liked. So stuff wasn't as structured. You kind of like, you just go and do your thing. And they never put restraints on me, or really, you do as much time as I wanted to do. A lot of times, they never said don't do this, or you have to do that. It was never like that. So, and I love that. I love the freedom. I like to write it myself. So
I was just going to ask you, were you a self booker? And what I mean by that is, Tarzan, you're going to be able to attest to this. Booker comes up with a plan. This is what I got for Johnny Vegas. Johnny Vegas is like, I see something else. Here's my idea. Were you that guy, or are you the, I'll go with the flow. This is my job. I'll do what you want.
For the most part, I would be like, I'll do what you want. It's your show. You want me to go stand in the corner? I'll stand in the corner. If I thought maybe, if I thought of something, I'd say, hey, do you mind if I did this? Or if the finish was one way, I say, do you mind if we kind of did this? Or can I use a gimmick? Stuff like that. Do you mind is anybody else using one? I'd love to use a gimmick. But that's about it. But basically, whatever you say, I'm going to do. And I think that's the way people should be. It's like, you want to do something different, run your own show. Don't complain to me because they're using this way. Go do your own show then. How's that good? That's the way I felt. I'd be like, you're the booker.
Here's one of I'm going to relate to myself is, I was a very go with the flow guy. Mm-hmm. Any show ever. I never once suggested to a promoter, why don't I do this or whatever this way? I just said, it's your show. I'm your employee for tonight. I'm going to do what you want.
Yeah.
Do you think that's hurtful to a wrestler's career? Because, if you have something better in mind that might be able to get you over, or might be able to, would it be smart to speak up?
I would say, hey, just like I said, hey, can I add something to it? I would say, oh no, we're not doing this. I don't do that. You you got to put ego aside and say, maybe this guy knows what's best. It's his show. If he wants to portray you this way, I would just do it. That's my thinking. But I was always on the impression that if you have a boss, you do what the boss tells you. If not, you quit. Don't work for him. If you don't like the way they're using you, go someplace else. You go to a restaurant, you don't like the food, don't go back. You keep going. Well, I'll keep going.
Thought I was going to like this chicken, but go ahead and bring it back and make it the way I like.
So that's me. I would, whatever you want. If I think maybe we could put a twist to it, sure. Or if you say, what do you think? I'm like, oh yeah, I was thinking we could do this, and then you go there. But if you said, no, I really want it this way, it's like, okay. And that's the way it should be. I don't think that people should be calling their own shots. If the booker has an idea that he wants to do it, again, if you don't like it, go work for somebody else.
Now, in this era, wrestling's starting to get pretty crazy with the stuff people are doing. And you're wrestling a lot of younger guys. So do you ever have any situations where they just want to do like just unreasonably crazy stuff and you have to be like, I don't do that.
I've been very fortunate that, respect goes a long way in wrestling, and I love people that show respect. I mean, they respect people that have been in business a long time. I have respect for people that have been in the business longer than me. I have respect for people that aren't in the business as long as me. But it's a good thing that people are respectful because, like I always give the explanation or the analogy that if you say to me, hey, I do a hurricane run off the top rope, I go, wow, that's great. That's good for you. But we're probably not going to do that tonight. Not because you can't do it. It's because I don't feel comfortable catching you and putting you down safely. So I think about me and I think about my opponent that, there are guys that want to do a lot of crazy things. And if I don't feel comfortable doing it, I'm going to say no. But if it's something that I'm willing to do, suplex off the top rope, if I feel pretty good, yeah. I mean, we'll decide as we're out there, but I don't tend to do too many crazy things, and I don't want to ever hurt anybody, God forbid.
Preference in wrestling opponent, younger guy or older gentleman?
I really like somebody my size, so age doesn't matter. If it's somebody that's really new, that means I'm going to do a lot more work. If it's somebody that's seasoned, then I can kind of rely on them to do stuff too. So, but either way, I don't care. It's more fun again, somebody my size, so we can do more things. If I'm working with somebody that's bigger, then I'm limited to what I can do. So I have to take a lot of more things. So if that makes sense.
A lot of attitudes I've seen over the years is there's two kinds. So I want to work with Hurricane John Walters, or I want to work with Handsome Johnny, or Tommaso Ciampa. They want to work with someone who's really good. But there's the other attitude is I want to wrestle someone who doesn't know shit so I can call every spot and it's going to go my way. Do you feel one's better than the other, or do you think it doesn't really matter? It's just whatever floats your boat?
I enjoy somebody that knows what they're doing. Not that I'm against working with somebody new. I will certainly help. I do regret, another regret is not work. I would love to have worked with John Walters. That's one of my other ones that I miss.
He's miserable. You don't want that.
I know. I love it from that. I was fortunate enough to work a lot with you, and I loved it. That was one of my favorite opponents. Tarzan, I wish we had done more together, but we never did.
6-man tag once.
That's
there
about
in New Hampshire. I don't remember the date, but I remember we did it.
But so I don't care. I don't want to say I don't care who my opponent is. I don't care. I do like somebody that has some experience, and then we can bounce stuff off each other more. Where it's somebody, it happens when you get older that a booker will say, hey, can you do me a favor? That usually means you're taking the green guy. Sure. But I don't care sometimes. As long as they're trained, properly, it's like, that's what I'll ask them. Who trained you? How long you been training? If they say, well, I got to bring in my backyard, or, we put the mattresses out in the garage, or we do it on the couch. Okay. All right. So.
Can't wait till all the promoters hear how flexible you are, and they're like, dude, I'm booking Johnny Vegas. Yeah. And they book you like, all right, dude, since you're willing to do anything, you're going to do a death match tonight.
Yeah. No. You've been around for a while, wrestling and training.
Are you saying I'm old?
No. Seasoned.
Okay.
He does keep saying you've been around for a while.
I know. You guys said that
all
many
these
times.
Little things back in the day.
Now, with television, it's a different...
when the dinosaurs roamed the earth.
Television, it's a different...
When Luthez was champion.
It's different. They're having to get ratings.
Gorgeous
tickets.
George was the top of the...
Buy rates. But you feel on the indies, especially New England, sometimes it's not instilled in people enough getting a lot out of nothing, or getting doing little but making it seem like bigger deal. Like I feel like that's kind of lost over the years. Where
to add to that, don't generalize it with just the school we train at. Like try to think on a broader, just the wrestling business in itself. Do you feel like that's lost?
Well, it's like, the reason I bring it up, not television, is because in an independent show, you're there mostly, even though it's become a lot more now getting hits on YouTube, it used to be just for those paying fans.
Mm-hmm.
And you feel like it's lost on a lot of these newer guys, the ability to try and get something out of nothing, or getting a very big reaction out of something very little.
I was always, for me personally, again, because I wasn't the most athletic or anything like that, I tried to get more out of a reverse hip toss where they would pop for that rather than, bumping 15, 16, 18 times where after the third one they forget what's going on. And I think sometimes guys think they have to do more stuff like that, and you don't need to. You can get more, like you said, more out of less sometimes if you do it the right way. And some of these, they're watching, the television all the time, the match on television. Television matches are different. They have 4 minutes. They have 5.5 minutes, and it's got to get all this stuff in that short time frame where, you work in shows, and it's different. You work in an independent show. You got a lot of freedom, and you got a whole canvas to make stuff up and do things. And sometimes people don't see that. They just want to get their stuff in. And I hate that. It's like, what stuff? Nobody knows who we are. What are you talking about? You get your stuff in. I don't even know what your stuff is, and I'm working with you. I don't understand what that means.
I remember working with him like 2 weeks after.
It's like, what? Who are you?
Now, the only critique I've ever heard of you,
oh boy,
is sometimes you tend to go a little long.
I've been having, like I said, the luxury of not having time sometimes, or if I have a time, going whatever I want, and nobody's said anything. But yeah, I realize it too sometimes that I have gone long.
Do you feel like it's because not enough people give you enough time, or you don't wrestle a lot, so you try to make the most of your time because you love being in?
I just love being out there. If my father is a stage hypnotist, and he always taught me from a young age the difference between an amateur and a professional. An amateur can't wait to get off the stage. A professional can't wait to get on. I can't wait to get out there. And when I'm out there, it's like I don't want it to end. I remember I used to hate doing speeches in school until I got up there, and I'm like, I love this. I love doing it. I love the attention. I want people to pay attention when I'm out there, and I don't want it to end. And that's what happens sometimes. You go, well, let me do a couple more things. So let's go 3-4 minutes longer, and that's why, when you're a performer and you're an entertainer, no matter if you're a singer or a dancer or playing a musical instrument, when you're out there and people are enjoying it, or you think they're enjoying it, and you want to stay there.
You can tell, too, when you go to a concert, like the nights that those guys, whoever's performing's like, I don't want this to end.
Right.
They start singing extra songs. They start talking to the crowd.
If it's the 8th show in a row, they're like, now they want to get out of there. But, it's... So, you guys have lived this. You know what it's like to be out there and enjoying it and going, oh, God, we got to take it home? We got to stop? I don't want to stop. So that's me. Yes, I know. I agree. That's a fair criticism, but only because I love it.
Do you ever care to stop, like, trying to adjust it, or are you just like, screw them?
Yeah, do whatever I want. You know who I am? Do what I want. They love me or they hate me, but I don't really care. No, I don't. Sometimes you don't realize it when you're out there, but then afterwards you go, we did go kind of long. So,
when did you actually start to help train into school and whatnot? And I don't mean like, just helping out sometimes, like when you're actually like considered a trainer. I was at the New England Pro Wrestling Academy, correct?
Right, yeah. So, I'm going to say it had to have been 7 years ago, something, maybe more, maybe longer than that. I'm trying to think. It's hard to, time just goes. I'm going to guess no, thank you. I thought it was 7 or 8 years. Maybe it's longer.
I think it's like 10.
Could be.
It feels like 10 because you've been there since the beginning, and I'm pretty sure Brian's on the school for almost 10 years.
Okay, yeah, probably, yeah.
So were you asked? Did you want to do something different? Were you getting bored? I mean, how did it come? What made you decide you wanted to help out?
Been friendly with Brian, and I knew he had the school, and when I first went there, he was kind of doing it alone most of the time, and he had the 2 rings, and I said, I'm going to help you, I guess. I don't really remember how it happened, and for the most part, it was just us for a while, and then more guys started helping out and stuff, but I mean, we gelled great. It was a lot of fun. I enjoy it. Of course, I lived it with you, Julian. We loved it, so hopefully, you can tell the ones that do love it too. And again, we went through it before that sometimes people are just, I don't know if they're just there for a workout or they just think that wrestling is easy. I don't know, but it's always been a lot of fun. I loved it.
So you've seen a lot of people coming to that school. A lot.
Yes, definitely a lot.
Would you say it's like a common thing that a lot of them have in their heads, or is it just case by case based?
Again, I think sometimes people think it's going to be easier than it is. There's a lot involved. I mean, we're fortunate. We have the 2 rings. We split up into beginners and more advanced. And what I always teach for the beginners, I said, what you learn now has to become second nature. Because when you get to more advanced stuff, you can't be thinking about where my feet go or how do I do a hip toss and all those things like that. So there's a ton involved in learning it. And I tell them, I said, if you think you're going to learn this in 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months, you're wrong. It's a long process. It's not like, okay, get on the bike and ride it. This takes a lot of effort, and you got to be mentally prepared for this as well as physically. So there's a ton of things, a lot of factors involved in wrestling.
And we ask this a lot. A lot of people that train over the years. Anybody that, I don't want to do the old cliche of I knew he was a star the minute I saw him, but anybody you knew early on was going to actually be something.
The obvious one is Dijak, Donovan Dijakovic. Just again because A, he had pretty good size. B, from the first day he started, he had this work ethic that I have not seen anybody other than say like a Josh Briggs who was close, but nobody has come close to training the way he does. And he comes to work hard no matter what the drill is, whatever it is. He's huffing and puffing and doing his thing. Other people are like, just let's get through this. Let's do it as quick as we can and get it done. And not him. I mean, from his drop downs to his leapfrogs to anything like that was like, this is the way it should be done. And he was destined for this. And it's not a surprise that he's making it. Not a surprise. Sasha Banks is another one of our students that she tried very hard from the get-go. And then something clicked and it just kind of snowballed, and it's great. And we're very fortunate we can have people like that. But there are others that, again, that I don't know what their thinking is. It's like, why are you really here? Do you think that, you're 5'7", you're 220 pounds, you're round, and I don't want to make fun of people because, some people have problems, but I mean, are you thinking that you're the next WWE superstar? Like, you're going to be called to the training performance center and they're going to train, you're going to be able to do the things that they're doing down there? I don't know what they're thinking sometimes. Maybe people are just happy that I just want to do independent shows, which is cool too. And I had that mindset myself. No, I'm happy doing this. So you just wonder about some people, what their thinking is sometimes.
You ever had someone where, throw your hands up, I can't do anything with you, you're a lost cause?
I never really want to quit on anybody. In my mind, I'm thinking, this is going to be really tough. But if they show up, I'm going to still do it, train them just like anybody else. It's up to them how far they can go. It's almost like you're the quarterback. I'm going to hand you the ball. Are you going to run 2 yards? Or are you going to go for the touchdown? You can go as long as you want. I can teach you so many stuff, and Julian, we teach as much as we can, but you have to really do it. We can't do it for you. Like I always said, we already know how to do this. You have to do it. I mean, we're going to show you. I can't help you suplex somebody. But you have to do it. So it's kind of fun too to see people that do develop and you go, wow, I can't believe this guy's really catching on. And there were some that I didn't think would get it as quickly, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, yeah, you're ready to move on to the advanced ring or doing shows. So sometimes I ramble too, so I'll just keep talking.
Go for it.
Not afraid to talk. You said I go long sometimes. Going long.
Sorry, I drew a blank.
It's all right. No, this is a great time. Again, I'm flattered that you guys have asked me to be here. I give you a hard time because it's season 2, episode 43 or whatever. But that's okay. How many shows do you have in season 1?
Season 1. Hold on, I can look it up right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
and this show is what, number 40 something?
34.
This is 34. Okay.
Episode 31 was our season premiere.
So there are 64 shows or some odd that were ahead of me.
No. 30.
31.
31 was our
season 1
premiere. So season 1 was 30 episodes.
You had 30 episodes already in season 1.
Yeah.
And this is 34 episodes of season 2.
No, this is episode 34. So it's season 2, episode 4.
Oh, okay. So there's been
34 episodes.
33.
Altogether.
I'm number 34?
Yes.
So there have been 33 guests ahead of me is what I'm trying to say.
More because sometimes we've had 2 people.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Is like, you know, where's the respect? Oh, yeah, we like you. Yeah, you're awesome. Oh, that's great. Yeah, 34?
I mean,
I'm 34th in line?
Yeah, the main event.
Who'd you have in front of me? The Skull?
They didn't put...
You know?
Who?
The Skull.
They didn't put... Was the cue ball?
Cue ball.
Full of hair? They didn't put Stone Cold Steve Austin in the opener or Shawn Michaels and Undertaker. We have to wait till the end.
All right. That's I like that. I like that. Sure.
You know, so the longer they wait, the more they'll want it.
Like these wrestling cards that are 34 matches long. It's 7 a.m. the next morning and we're still wrestling.
But yeah, the common thing I heard a lot when I was still around the business was, well, I don't want to look stupid or I can't do that. You know, there's people looking at me. Like, did you ever understood that mentality of, if you ever watch wrestling, like you look like a jackass?
Our goal is to look stupid. You know, you want that attention. That's what separates us from another sport. You know, you want that look. It's like, I'll watch him. He's weird, but it's a cool weird. You know, and I think that's a cool thing about it. You want to perform. You want to come out there, and you have to be, not egotistical wise, but you have to be better than the people that are sitting there watching. What makes you different from them? They're paying to see this. Why are you doing this? Because you're special. You've got that special gimmick. You got that special look about you, and people want to say, yeah, that was pretty cool. The most flattering thing is when people at the end of a show will come up to you and say, I love your stuff. Not whether you win or lose. I don't know whether I win or lose. Most of the time I probably lose, but I don't know. But when they say your stuff, thanks. I love that. You know, or you had a great match with so-and-so, you know, with Julian. I'm like, well, I carry Julian, you know. These are still sore from breastfeeding him. You know, he was a tough carry, you know.
I was heavy.
No, you weren't heavy then. You went up nice and easy.
I harp on this a lot, and I've asked other people, these kids, 17, 18, 19 years old, why the fuck can't they jump?
I don't know. And I'm 34 and I can still jump. Excuse me? What happened? I can jump. What are you laughing? I can jump. I can still jump.
At my age, I'm in a ring in almost 6 years. I can still do a goddamn leapfrog.
I guarantee you could do a leapfrog.
Why can't these guys who are fresh out of high school fucking jump?
You know, we've seen it numerous times that
multiple people.
It's like, how do you not get off your feet? I mean, it's not that difficult.
I've had girls come in that said they were dancers or gymnasts, and they can't do a goddamn leapfrog.
Yeah, for some reason, especially girls have trouble with leapfrogs. They just can't do them. A lot can't.
I just remember being a kid and like you'd hop up on rocks or fences or just like you just jump up on things,
up on the wall,
and
everything.
It makes me think their entire life they never jumped on one single thing.
I guess you're right. You know, jumping over a fence or anything like that. It's like, you guys never did that? Yeah. Do you ever jump on your bike?
Yeah.
You know, it's running. You're running with the bike. You jump on the bike. These guys never leave their feet. Like, they're afraid. And in this sport, you can't be afraid to leave your feet. It's impossible to get by. And again, I am not the most athletic. I admit that. But I can do a leapfrog even now. And I can do an up and over. I can do stuff like that. But for some reason, some people can't, or they're afraid to. They have it in their head because their subconscious is taking over, saying, no, your feet stay on the ground. Your head stays up. Your feet do not go over your head. And that's in their head. And as professional wrestlers, we have to reprogram our brains to say, it's okay for this to happen. It's okay for me to be upside down on a hip toss. It's okay for me to have my feet above my head. But your subconscious is saying, no, that's not supposed to happen. That's why we have reflexes. So we have to reprogram.
Has character work in promos, has that changed at all from when you started wrestling to now?
Yeah, I think especially when people don't have that gimmick behind them, it's more like hey, I'm John Smith. I'm gonna wrestle Pete, whatever, on Saturday night, and we don't like each other. And it's more. It was kind of more fun when Doink the Clown would come out and go, oh, I'm going to get you, or the $1 Million Man with his stunts with kids. I'll give you $100. You can bounce the ball 10 times. He kicked the ball out of the hand. When I saw that, I was like, this is great.
But I'm saying like more New England wrestling. Like I know you're like I'm Fabulous Johnny Vegas, blah 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 blah. But like, did promos at that time when you first started wrestling and all that stuff, like character development, did it change drastically to what you see today?
Well, I think that we didn't do as many promos as they do now. It's like we just kind of did stuff because the only times I remember doing things with, like, sometimes Jeff Costa, he would be like, we'd go to do a show, and before the show, he's like, come on, let's go out and get some heat. One time we were, oh my God, we were in Vermont, and he said to me, he says, come on, let's go out there. I'm like, okay, you're the boss. I said, what do you want to do? He said, well, I don't know, we'll just do stuff. And we were jarring, and the crowd was getting into it, and it just came to me. I didn't plan this or anything. I just stopped. I looked at a person. I said, sit down and shut up before I slap that beard off your face, lady. And the place erupted, and I'm like, wow, that was pretty funny. It just came to me. Again, we just had some fun doing things like that rather than straight promos coming out, standing by the ring and going, tonight I'm going to get him, and I'm going to, in the ring, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do the old-fashioned, I'm going to beat him 1, 2, 3. Of course it's 1, 2, 3. But they kind of didn't do a lot of that,
What's your opinion on, because obviously from what you just told me, that seems like more acceptable heat, which is like, hey, bearded lady, blah, blah, blah. But if you do that now, people label that as what they call cheap heat. What is your opinion on that?
I think cheap heat is more like, shut up, there's stupid things like that. But if you can do more intelligent things, never make fun of somebody, really. I mean, just you can generalize people. I felt bad one time. There were a lot of kids in the crowd, and a 12-year-old boy threw a piece of paper in the ring, and I turned to him and I said, oh, you throw like a girl. Oh, God, that was the worst thing I could have said. All his friends got on him. I really felt bad, because I made fun of him and I got him. He couldn't do anything back to me, and I really felt bad because it wasn't good. But it was funny at the time. I thought, oh, you throw like a girl. All his Little League friends were on him, so that wasn't good. But, yeah, I mean, there's ways to still get heat, I think. Just sometimes even with the look. You turn around, or especially if you're the heel and somebody makes a comment and you react to it without even saying anything, then they think they got you, then it just rises from there. You don't have to say stuff sometimes,
On that note, we had 2 managers previously on the show.
Oh, really?
Long before you.
Oh.
And,
on season 1.
We had...
I'm sure.
We had Joey Eastman.
And
we had Sean Gorman.
Oh, yes.
Now, they
Excellent.
had very different opinions about heat in today's wrestling.
Okay.
Joey Eastman feels like you really only take it so far. Nothing over the line. Nothing that's going to upset anyone. Gorman, on the other hand, feels that you need to... I don't know if he said need, but feels that there is no real... Well, I shouldn't say no limits, but...
He's trying to say if you cross a line, don't go out and apologize.
Yeah, he says
you
that...
need people to believe and go home with the memory.
You might have upset them, but everyone around them is going to want to pay to see you get your ass kicked for doing that next time.
At some point.
So... on those 2 camps, where do you think you would fall more upon?
Yeah, I'm like, I go back and forth. I was like, yeah, I think you got to be, don't say anything, don't call anybody retarded, or, don't make fun of people because they have 2 eyes, 3 eyes. I mean, has 2 eyes. Don't make fun if they have 1 eye, but I mean, if you can garner heat in a good way, like Sean Gorman can, without... You want people to not want to kill you, but you want to see somebody eventually get their hands on you. If you can do it in a tasteful way that isn't like off color or something, I don't know what I'm trying to say, really. I think there's a skilled way of doing it. Again, Joe Eastman's kind of more gimmicky side. He does Sidney Buckabella, stuff like that, which is very funny. So he's going to get heat in a different way, where Sean Gorman is, pretty much straightforward. If he doesn't, he's going to tell you right to your face. So nobody's ever going to want to attack Joey Eastman, but some people might want to attack Sean Gorman, but he's great at it, and he's very believable.
Which one would you rather be?
I've always been more of the the easier side road where I want people to make fun of me. I don't want people to think, oh God, he's gonna. I want to kill him.
In the parking lot.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to be more funny. You know, I want people to really enjoy themselves. I don't want really people to get mad. I want them to say, "Man, that was a great show. That was very enjoyable. I can't wait to go back again." That's my mindset. You know, it's the old entertainer motto is, you know, leave them wanting more. You want them to say, "When's the next show?" You don't want to say, "Oh God, that guy made me so mad. I'm not going back there again. I paid $12 for that." You know, you want to say again, when is that next show? They're selling tickets tonight for it. Let's get front row. Let's get front row. That guy's going to be there. You know, that's what you want. So, there's that fine line still. I don't know. Everybody's got different opinions.
So on training, do you think you can actually train characters or personality, charisma, that kind of stuff?
So I think that you have to have something inside of you automatically. If you are somebody that's an introvert, have never done public speaking, of any, you know, can it be done? Yeah, I think anything's possible, but it's very hard. If you are a shy person and you don't like to be in front of people, we can't make you do it. You know, if you can't stand being in front of a crowd, I love being in front of people. I love public speaking. The more people there are, the better I do. If there's a show and there's 25 people in there, I'll be okay. But if you put 250 people there, I'm going to be like, yeah, let's go. To me, that's I thrive on more people because I know they're there for a reason. But if you come and say, I'm very shy, I don't speak well, you know, I don't do a lot of things in front of people, it's hard to teach that. You know, we can just kind of give you guidance. You know, but then again, people have shocked us when we do promos and they're like, that came out of you? Then let's go with that. Than being a dope in the ring. So it's hard.
If you ran a wrestling school, would you do things differently?
I think that maybe do some more how to do some promo stuff like that. You know, what to say, what not to say. I don't think we do enough of that. But no, I liked what we were doing. I like how we had, again, we were blessed with 2 rings, which is great. A lot of I chained, there was only 1 ring, and you waited. We were really fortunate. We got 2 rings. It cuts the wait time in half. I mean, we could do double the amount of people. So I like the way we structured it with separating people so that, you know, you don't have people that have been doing it for 2 years wrestling a kid that's been in there for 2 weeks. So I liked what we were doing. I think we meshed pretty well.
All right. We're going to move on.
Okay.
To the biggest night in your wrestling career. I believe it was November of 2011.
Wow, you're very good.
Monday Night Raw. The TD Garden.
Yes.
You were brought in as John Cena's Little League coach. Why don't you give us a little background on how this all came about?
Well, you know, when WWE comes to town, they used to contact the school, I guess, to either Jamie and maybe Brian too, whatever it was, and they would say, you know, if they needed security guards or something like that, they'd say, hey, we need some boys to go in. So they called and said that they were looking for somebody a little older to play John Cena's Little League coach. And so Jamie, I think his first choice was Mike Hollow, I think. I don't know if he wasn't available or whatever. I don't know. But then he said, you know, would you be interested? And I said, of course, absolutely. So they gave them my name, and I waited. And I was in. We have friends that are in a Beatles tribute band called 1964 The Tribute. So they're out of Ohio, and when they come in town, we help them with their shows and do stuff, whatever. And we were in Rhode Island we're just checking into the hotel, and my phone rings, and it's WWE. And I say to my wife, I go, oh my God, it's WWE. So I just throw my stuff on the bed, and I sit on the bed, and I go, hi. Hi. And it's a female, and she said, we know you're interested. We'd like to have you come in for Monday Night Raw. Are you still interested? I'm like, no, I can't really make it. I said, absolutely, yes. When do you want me? So they said, we want you there at 2 o'clock on Monday. I said, I'll be there at 1. And they said, we'll go from there. And that's when I talked to you, Julian. You said, oh, I'm going too. I said, great. You had been there before, I think.
Yeah.
And I said, geez, I don't know where I'm going. And we kind of met up, I think on the highway or something like that. And then we kind of pulled in together, and it was pretty cool. You know, you're in the garden, and we were there early. I think we were there about 1 o'clock, and they want you there about 2. So we get there, and they're setting up the big light ring. You know, the
lighting rig.
The lights. It's incredible. And I remember Santino Morella's music was blaring loud. They were practicing and doing something or whatever. They just kept playing it, and we were just sitting there and just taking it all in. It was kind of cool. So then, when it was time to start talking to people, they said, "Oh, we cut your part out." I'm like, okay, all right, that's all right, because I don't know what happened, but they were doing something different, or whatever. But they said, don't leave, we might have something for you. I'm like, hey, they're not going to have anything for me. So I just kind of hung around, and that's when Regal was there, and he was kind of talking, so it was kind of enjoyable doing that, and lots of food, plenty of food. So I was kind of, the segment that I was in, they were rehearsing it. They were in the ring. It was John Cena's senior, and it was his former partner, Bull Buchanan.
B squared.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And it was
B squared.
Mick Foley was the host, and then Cena, and they were doing their thing. As they were finishing, they did it in the ring, so it was great. You know, so I watched it. It was cool. Yeah, I'm not looking for nothing. I don't care if it was great just being there. As they were walking out, one of the producers said to me, said, "Are you're not leaving, are you?" I go, "No." I said, well, "We might have something for you." I'm like, okay. So I said, again, I'm not hanging around. John Cena comes out of a room. He says, "Oh, we put that back in, so we're all set to go." I'm like, "Okay, great." So I think it was Michael Hayes was the producer, and he handed me a piece of paper. He goes, "Here you go." I'm like, "Okay." So we're gonna meet in a room in a few minutes. So we sat down, we talked through it. These guys all had already done in the ring, so I'm doing one read through. They're like, "Okay, that's it. We'll see you." We're on the 8 o'clock hour, I think, or one of the top hour, 8 or 9 o'clock. I forget which one it was. I'm like, okay. They never, ever asked me, can you speak? Do you know how to use a microphone? Do you have any kind of abilities at all? They never said anything. We read through it once. I'm like, okay. So I went back to my little dressing room there by myself. I'm thinking to myself 2 things only. Don't forget your lines, and don't trip down the ramp. That's all I was thinking about. Again, they never rehearsed. We never did anything. They would, when it was time, that I didn't know exactly when we were going. The guy grabs me and says, "Come on, let's go." Okay, so you go into the gorilla area. Who's sitting there? Vince McMahon's in the corner. Triple H is sitting next to him, watching these monitors. Michael Hayes is at the curtain, also with a monitor, all with headphones on, or whatever. Then there's a guy he's got a row of 18 microphones. Hands me a microphone. He says, "You're first." Okay. He said, but the first thing you're doing, I knew I was doing backstage, was "You're up, Johnny," was my first line. They're all, Foley goes out there, brings out Cena, they do a video thing, whatever like that, and Foley goes, "Oh, you probably recognize this voice." And I go, "You're up, Johnny." And Cena goes, "Oh, yeah, that's right, it's your Little League coach from West Newbury, Massachusetts." And my original name was, I don't remember my original name, but then Mick Foley says, "Hey, can I call you Will Gray?" Call me whatever you want. He says, "The reason I say that because that was my Little League coach, and I'll remember it." I'm like, "Okay, whatever you want. Call me my real name. I really don't care." So it was Will Gray, and they played this baseball music, and they go. Michael Hayes says, "I'll tell you when to go." He opens the curtain. He says, "Go ahead." I'd never walked down the ramp before. These guys all had a chance to do it. I'm like going cold. I tell you, I don't even know if my feet hit the ground. I actually paused when I came out of the curtain. I paused for a second. I went, "Whoa." And I ran to the ring. And the idea was coming to the ring, and it was to an embrace with John Cena. I said, "What do you want? Do you want a handshake? Do you want me to hug you? Whatever." He goes, "Whatever you want." I go, "Really?" I said, "I think it'd be funny if I did a hug and you just didn't hug me back," type of thing. He's like, "Okay." So I get out there, I get in the ring, and I go over to him, and I go like this. I just give him a look. I go and give him this little hug like this. He doesn't do anything. And then I do my few lines. I was out there for a minute or whatever, and I go back in the back, and it was Vicky Guerrero came to me, and the Neidhart, No, the
I heard
female.
nine and a half?
Yeah. I'd say, man, you're great. You're a natural. I'm like, I'm a pro. What are you talking about? This isn't my first rodeo. First time WWE, but I've done other things. But they think I was. I mean, it's really. So after I pie-faced them and got them out of the way. No, they were very, very, very nice. And, guys would come over and introduce themselves. I remember like Dolph Ziggler and The Big Show. Guys like that, and it was really, really cool. And then afterwards, it was, you didn't go with us to Kowloon, did you?
No, I hate Kowloon. I went directly home.
So, I'd been to Kowloon, but I'd never been with WWE. So John Cena Sr. says to me, he says, we're going to go there. I'm like, oh, no, I'm just in and out. I was on for a minute. I don't belong. He said, no, it's kind of cool. Just a couple of guys go. So I'm like, this is my first time. It's one and done. I'm going. So everybody's packing up, doing that thing, and I was already dressed and ready to go. So I said, I'll meet you over there. So I was kind of one of the first ones there. I pull in the parking lot, and there's fans there. I'm like, of course, I forget. They all know that this is the regular routine. I get out of the car, and they're like, hey, Coach, how's it going? I'm like looking around going, what are they talking about? I go, oh, that's me. Then they're like, so how was John Cena as a Little League player? I'm like, well, I wasn't really. He was good. Yeah, he was good. 'Cause you got to play. I'm like, oh yeah. So I'm flattered by that. I was on for maybe a minute, and these people recognized me. I'm like, I go to the Kowloon. The manager's there with the door. He opens the door. Right this way, sir. But what? He escorts me in this back room, and there's food and drink. All you want. There's Mark Henry's in there, Jack Swagger, Dolph Ziggler, guys like that. It's like, this is amazing. I was like a superstar
and no
for
one
a
questioned
night.
you?
No, they knew who I was. The guy escorted me in the back. I'm like, this is fantastic. And everybody's so nice. I just can't get over it that they didn't treat you like a second-class citizen or just like an independent guy. They were very welcoming. I loved it. It was great. It was a great experience. It's one time. So I made the best of it, and
I'd never heard that story, so that was actually really
It was cool. And I always, you got to ask Brandon Locke about it, because we always joke that Vince McMahon was walking by. So I'm like, hey, Vince, hey, how are you? Never mind. He'll tell you he elaborates a little bit more on it, but it was kind of cool. But, The Rock was on the show, but people say, did you meet The Rock? But he had his own private room, and he came in late and just did his thing, and that was
What
it.
episode is this? Because I think Susanna wanted to see me. I'm pretty sure I was on this show, and I'm pretty sure I got to be an extra. Not
Yes,
sure,
you were.
Because I think it was in the background when he does like the Rock's arrived, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, I want to see it. And I'm like, why?
The episode was the segment I was in was John Cena, This Is Your Life. Okay. So whatever it was, November of 2011, which is it was very, very cool. It was like it was yesterday.
I miss. TV was so weird because it was the long hours, but at the same time, great stories, great opportunity, great experience. I wish Tarzan that you really did get to go at least once.
Yeah, that's one of my regret. I never got to be an extra.
And just to sit in the back, just eating a lot of food, and the food changed. They're very good. And I remember it was so cool just seeing that they had people sewing stuff all night long. All they do was kept sewing gear and all this stuff. Anything was broken, whatever, they fixed it. And I remember one of the Mexican guys, I forget which gimmick he was playing. I think he was playing one of the ones that he rode a bike to the ring or something like that. He came out and wore the khaki pants. He was out there ironing them himself. And it's like, well, that's really kind of cool. You're doing it yourself. And it was just cool seeing little things that you don't think of. These are guys that are superstars. Like, have somebody else do it, but no, he did it himself. And again, I think the best part is everybody was very nice. Nobody was like, "What are you doing here? You don't belong here." They treated us pretty cool. So it was a great experience. So, and people still bring it up. I mean, that was 9 years ago. My math is right. And people still say, "Yeah, I remember that. It was cool." And I said, "Yes, it was very cool. I'm not going to say anything, but it was great. It was really, really fun."
Did you have any hopes or that was going to turn into some form of future?
I knew that it was one and done, it would be kind of cool to play another part or whatever, but they've got plenty of actors that
I feel like you would have been a really good broadcast journalist or some sort of announcer for them.
That would have been cool. Yeah,
just because you have the voice and the presence for it.
That's I first started doing that with the Universal Championship Wrestling, and I actually got to work with Chris Cruz, who I don't know how he got there or whatever, but I don't know if that's before he really made it big whatever he was doing. And
Well, since you bring it up, that's actually one of our fan questions from one fan, Mark Boudry. And he wants you to talk about commentary with Chris Cruz for UCW.
Chris Cruz was such a professional from the first day I met him, and very, very, again, not like, hey, I'm Chris Cruz and you're just learning this for the first time. Oh my God, he would let you do things if you wanted to do play-by-play or if you wanted to comment anytime. He was absolutely fabulous. I wish I'd kept in contact with him. I'd love to talk to him again and say, hey, do you remember me? It was the three of us. It was me, Chris Cruz, and Orlando West. And we kind of rotated between me and Orlando West between doing ring announcing and some commentating or interviewing or whatever. But Chris Cruz was great, and you could tell just his demeanor, the way he called stuff he had a great flow, and he knew everything, and it was really, really cool. So I loved it. It was great.
All right, in a minute, we're going to get to all of our listener questions in a minute. But
there's only two more, but
okay, well, I have one as well. So,
that's
before
all
we
the
do
questions.
that, you've only been mentioned once or twice on the show before. Michael Morris from APW said you were his Babe Ruth coach.
Yes, that's right.
Art imitating life, I guess, when you were on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, I guess. So that was senior Babe Ruth, that 16 to 18-year-old young man playing baseball, and Mike Morse was on the team, yeah. That's how I first met him. And then we lost contact for a while, and then all of a sudden he comes back in the picture, and he's running APW with Joe Moakley. And prior to that, it was run by Big Woody, who reached out to me and said, hey, I've been trying to get in touch with you. I'd love you to come and work for me. I'm like, yeah, sure. He says, I didn't remember him at the time. He said, yeah, I remember seeing you up at the beach. And I'm like, yeah, sure, absolutely. And again, he took great care of me, and I miss Big Woody, what a lot of us do. He passed away. But it was a lot of fun shows. And then Joe Moakley and Mike took over, and they still book me, so that's nice. And Mike's good because Mike admits that he is not an expert in this, and he's willing to learn. And he would say, "Can I pick your brain a lot?" And between different people he talks to, and helping put stuff together. So they're building a nice organization there. So he's a good guy. He's very, very, very friendly, very nice, like a real decent human being.
Not a lot of personality.
He doesn't get fired up much.
No, he's
very even.
Very even, yes. Definitely.
And you were brought up, we had Nightbreed on the show.
Oh,
we were talking about
terrible.
tag team wrestling.
Terrible.
But it came up, I guess you had some bad experience where you had to release Amato Sethrin from the New England Pro Wrestling Academy.
Feature endeavored.
Endeavored him.
Amato's one of my longest friends besides like a Maverick Wild or Sonny Goodspeed, somebody like that. He's one I've known the longest. So when we were at the New England Pro Wrestling Academy, I brought him in there. I said, hey, I train on these nights. If you want to come and help, I love an extra set of eyes and ears. And he said, sure, I'm willing to come down. It was great. And, we get along great. And something happened along the way between himself and Brian Fury. And instead of Brian having to confront him for something, he said, hey, we really got to not have him come back. And I was given the duty to do that, which I hated very much. And since then, I've talked to both of them about that. And I was put in a tough position. I told Brian that wasn't fair. And he apologized. He said, no, it wasn't. And we should have done it differently. I said, yes. And I was dumb for doing it. But I did it because I didn't want them to hurt each other's feelings, or I just wanted to. I thought it would blow over and things would get back to normal, but they never really did. So I'm disappointed and hurt by that. But.
Now, Amato claims he was never told the full story. He doesn't actually know fully why. Do you?
I don't really either. I don't know if it's, you hear stuff like, the internet's a cruel thing. It gets a lot of people in trouble. I'm not a big internet person. I don't post a lot of things. People say, oh, I see you put up a match of this, that. I don't put nothing up. I don't know how to put matches up on the internet. I'm sorry. I'm old school. I can mail a letter. I can put gas on the car. But the internet can get you in trouble. You say a couple of wrong things, somebody takes it the wrong way. And Amato has shown his opinion a lot of times. I keep to myself. I don't give my opinion on a lot of things. People don't want to hear it. But if somebody hears it that disagrees with it, then it gets snowballs, and a couple of things have happened like that he said some stuff that some people didn't like. So that's what happens. Internet's tough. It's ruined a lot of people, I mean, you see it now, even
We're
still.
cancel culture. It's going strong.
All right, let's get in some listener questions.
Oh my! Do we have it? Do we have people
We
listening?
have a couple.
What?
Well, obviously, we had the one from Mark Boudry. We posted a status on our Facebook. That's
That
Truth
Mark is a
Justice,
good guy. He's a good guy.
And the New England Pro Wrestling Way Facebook. He did ask you to talk about commentary with Chris Cruz for UCW, which you did.
Yeah.
Cameron Zagami, former guest of Truth, Justice, and the New England Pro
Before
Wrestling Way,
me, yes.
is asking, are you loving it yet?
I've always loved it. Ever since again, from the first time I started with UCW, I said this is really, really cool. And I don't want to say you either love it or you hate it, but there is a strong love for this game that you have to do it, and to do it for a long time. You can fall out of love with it just like anything else, but yes, I am loving it. I've always loved it, and I'm passionate about it.
And another question is from someone that you love so dearly. It's Tony Spencer.
Tony Spencer.
And he's asking, it's more of a request, but he asked, can you adopt him?
Can I adopt him? Well, basically, I'd like to put it this way nicely. No. No. Are you kidding?
Fair enough.
I can't afford that. No. But he's got a wonderful mother. He doesn't need to be adopted by me. She's very, very nice. So
You know her personally?
yes.
Wink, wink.
No, she's.
Oh, okay.
No, I have talked to her several occasions. Yes, she's very, very nice. He's fortunate. Tony and I have always gotten along well. We've had some fun, and joked a lot about stuff, and I miss seeing a lot of people. I don't get to see him much.
Tony was always fun to be around.
Yeah.
Every show I ever got to be on, I loved being on shows.
He's just fun,
Yeah, that's what it is. He's
not that
nice
he doesn't
and
take
fun.
it too seriously, but he has fun doing it. And
Those are the people I think I love the most in wrestling. Dan
think so.
Terry,
Yeah.
Tony Spencer,
Yeah.
guys that just are like, dude, we're fucking play fighting.
yeah, and we're gonna roll around for 10
we're
minutes
gonna
out
have
there.
fun.
And that's me. I'd rather have fun with this.
Sonny Goodspeed.
Yeah, it's
these guys I love the most.
Sonny Goodspeed's a 10-minute match. 8 minutes is dancing. So but yeah. Tony was always fun. He never was in a bad mood or never wanted to do anything.
Yeah, he
he'll
was
do
always
whatever.
like, you want to do athletic shit or you want to do fun shit?
Or Maverick said, "Hey, can you do this?" And he's very helpful too. Always help promoting shows and stuff like that. So yeah, he's a good guy.
I got a question from Blast from the Past, Big Daddy Dave Walker.
Ooh, Big Daddy Dave
What would
Walker.
you say is your most memorable fan interaction that didn't take place in the ring?
Fan interaction. Ooh. I never really had any, nothing bad.
No one waiting in the parking lot for you?
No, never. Again, I try to be not as mean to people, more like I want to be funny, and I want, if anyone's going to be made fun of, I want them to make fun of me. So, there was never anything, I don't recall. The only thing I remember is Big Kevin Hughes, Butcher Hughes, was the ring announcer for Jeff and Maverick show. This wasn't fan interaction, but he was kind of like a fan. And I cheated to beat Gary Cadelis, maybe for a championship, and he threw coffee at me when I was leaving the ring. And he had a hammer in his hand because he rang the bell too, and he waved that hammer like this was for real. And I was kind of scared because he didn't like that I cheated. But I I don't recall any fan interaction really. Not that I remember.
What about with Snaggletooth?
How do you know Snaggletooth? How do you know that?
Susanna.
Oh. So this was when we trained up at the beach. There were, to put it nicely, beach rats.
Yeah.
And they would come around the school, and there were some pretty tough ones. I mean, if we were in a room, with a couple of these girls, and the told, let me just say, a couple of the girls, they had their March Madness teeth. They were down to their Final Four. That's what I'm saying. Okay, I'll tell you that. So Snaggletooth had pretty much one in the front, so she was down to the finals. And me and Amada would laugh because she came to us one day and she said, you two are the only guys I didn't really have. And you're not going to have us either. Go back out in the parking lot. So it was pretty disgusting. But yeah, pretty much if you counted up all the teeth, there were like 25 teeth, and that included us. So it was really sad to see that. But yeah, I always say that, she didn't have many teeth. So, and a couple in the front that were like snaggletooth. So she got that nickname.
Funny.
So again, I pretty much I keep to myself type of person, and I just go to show, do my thing. So as far as interaction with people like that, that's not me.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for joining us.
What? That's it?
We're going to head into our final segment now.
There's more.
It's time for the Fantastic Four.
Oh, it's like the Final Four.
Similar.
See?
Similar to those teeth.
This is probably better, though.
Similar to those teeth, Johnny Vegas.
And don't you be stealing my stuff, though, because that's a good
I'm
line.
stealing all of those jokes.
That's not a joke. That was real.
Same 4 questions we ask all of our guests.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to start with question number 1, which is pretty easy. With your entire dealings with professional wrestling, what would you say you were most proud of?
Longevity is one. There's a couple of things. If we're doing like match wise,
anything you've ever done in the world of wrestling.
I really loved a match I had with JT Dunn. Probably one of my best matches. Was very enjoyable. He was great to work with, and again, being around a long time, I think I really love that. So, but that's one that stands out is working a match like that. But I've had a lot of nice people to work with, so it's been a great time.
I'm just going to go on the record and say this publicly.
Yes.
That after that match, I think there could have been a lot done. Chaotic Wrestling, you fucked up.
Ooh.
All right, go ahead.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I would have liked to have done a program with him of some sort.
I don't see why this didn't go further.
We gelled really well, and I mean, it was the best reaction I got backstage from fellow peers, and I'm flattered by that. And people still talk about it. It gets posted every so often online, and people will again reach out and say, that was really enjoyable, and it's flattering. So it's nice.
All right, question 2.
Ooh.
What is, if any, your biggest regret in your involvement in professional wrestling?
Not being as aggressive to get more bookings and working more. I was lazy. I didn't feel like reaching out. I didn't want to get out of my comfort zone of this little area. I regret not traveling more and doing more. So that's a big regret. If you can get out there and do as many shows as you can, go all over the place. These guys, they go to New York, they go to Chicago, they go to Pennsylvania, whatever. Wasn't aggressive enough, and I wish I was.
You and me both, man. All right, question number 3, which you're going to dodge like Mayweather dodging a punch. With your entire dealings, professional wrestling, who would you say you hate or strongly dislike or are annoyed with and would rather not be in the same row with? And will you name them?
I'm honestly trying to think as you were saying that. I maybe because I just keep to myself, I don't take too much of this personally. I don't have problems with anybody. I don't have heat with anybody. I don't know. Maybe there are people that must not like me, but I've never really said, geez, I'm going to avoid this person or I don't like this person. Maybe I'll talk to somebody less, but maybe because I don't know them. But I really don't have anybody that said, I really hate this person. I never want to see this person. There's nobody like that. Everybody's treated me so nicely, and everybody's been great. I'm sorry, but I don't hate anybody.
It's not
other than
don't
you.
Say sorry. Yeah,
I mean,
you. Well, you only hate me because I'm Puerto Rican, which
Not
is
even.
racist.
Oh.
In 2020, you can't be racist, sir.
Okay, so I hate you as just you then.
Yeah, okay, that's
Not even bad experience enough to mention their name?
No, I've had good experiences because I'm a pro and I can handle everything. And I correct all the problems. Whenever it's bad, I take over and I handle it, brother.
All right, question 4.
Yes.
What does the future hold for fabulous Johnny Vegas?
Well, it's with this pandemic has kind of changed a lot of things. I thought, if it didn't happen, I would still be doing shows. Now that we've had this time off, I'm kind of looking at it a different way. I'm getting older. Do I want to get dressed again and go out there, and can I still do it? Is my back not hurting? These guys want to do a lot of cool things that I can't do. Am I looking at the end of the the career, maybe. I would really, if I had done right, I would have done like retirement matches at different places. Say, look, I'd like to have one final match. Here's my opponent I'd like to work with at this place, or I would go to Chaotic and say, hey, can I have a match in one final, a retirement match and say goodbye. That's all. Now I don't know if I'll have the chance to say goodbye to people that have been so nice and kind along the way. Whether they liked me or they didn't like me, it was still a fun ride. So I don't know. Maybe there's still time left to do some more things. We don't know what this pandemic is doing, how long it's going to take. I probably won't do anything in 2020 myself. Even if there were shows, I probably would say no for right now. What does 2021 bring? Who knows? We'll see. Maybe there's still something left. Maybe Julian will come out of retirement and we'll do something.
Yeah, I keep getting asked, and I don't know if it's going to happen.
Oh, well, you didn't say no. Well, wait a minute now.
There's a lot of work in my Meg section, and I don't know if I want to work that hard.
What about you, Tarzan?
I would like my 2 stepsons and my daughter to see me wrestle in one match.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say never.
Let me ask you then, if you had a chance to do one thing in front of them, who would you pick as your opponent?
That's a tough question.
Who would you like to,
honestly,
that is crazy. You've never even thought of that, have you?
Honestly, if he were able to do it, I would pick Big Daddy Dave Walker.
Yeah.
He was my best friend.
Yeah.
We trained together. We
Sure.
had our first match together.
I had him in my mind for you, too.
Yeah,
I'm
he
thinking
would
that would
probably be the guy. We always worked well together. Yeah, Big Daddy Dave Walker would be the guy who, if he was able to do it, I would pick. That way I could say he and I came into the business together. We ended it together. You ask me next week, I might change my mind, but right now that's who I would pick.
Mm-hmm. Well, for me, I think I would see if you, Julian, would do something.
I would.
If you can't, I would.
100%.
I would like to do one with Amato. I would love to have done one with Brian Fury. You would have been one too. Not Tarzan though, because I don't. He's too big and goofy. What am I going to do with him? And I'm sure there are a couple other. Depending on how many I wanted to do, it would be kind of cool to say, this is gonna be it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we'll get to that point anymore. Maybe I'll just never retire and just keep going.
There you go. Don't even retire. Just walk away. Like John Walters, myself, and most people do. Walk away.
Yeah, Sonny Goodspeed said it the best. He said, wrestlers never retire. They just stop taking bookings.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
And it's so true. It's like, just stop taking bookings. You don't have to retire because you retire. Someone will say, hey, you want to do this? Okay, I'll do it.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you get shit for retiring.
Right. So...
All right. Well, I do want to thank you for joining us. We
Oh,
can probably
thank you.
go on and on and on. I'll have to bring you back sometime.
Sure. This is great. I mean, the food was great here. You guys treat me, obviously the pay is, we always do it for the almighty dollar.
Yeah.
But
small gate.
I would, I would give it back or donate to charity. We'll have to see. But I'm
free
flattered
plug,
that you
though.
did. Yes?
Where can people find you on social media?
I do have a Facebook page, Johnny Vegas. Don't have to be my friend, though, because I have people that I don't even know who they are, and I just put them they just sit on the side there, and I don't know. But, so, obviously there's no wrestling shows, so nothing's going on. But
And we give open to plug anything you'd want. Doesn't have to be wrestling.
It could be your job. It could be anything.
Oh, well, in real life, I sell real estate, believe it or not. So it's pretty cool. I work for Coco Early & Associates out of the Salem, New Hampshire office. So if you're looking to buy or sell, I'm your man. And if I can't do it, we have a great staff that can help. So that's what I really do.
Any way they can contact you?
Sure. CocoEarly.com. That's CocoEarly. CocoEarly.com is good. And just call the main office there, and you can get in touch with me that way.
And that's Salem, New Hampshire.
Salem, New Hampshire. Yeah, it's easy.
Beautiful. We do appreciate you joining us.
Well, thank you.
Fun.
I love it. Of course, I love you guys. So
Yeah, love you too, buddy.
Like you said, you love everybody. So.
not everybody.
Yeah, so we're not special.
Want to thank you for tuning in. And Julian, plug our social media.
Truth, Justice, and the New England Pro Wrestling Way can be found on Facebook. It is a like page. Please stop by Truth, Justice, and the New England Pro Wrestling Way and give us a like. You can also follow us on Twitter at Pro Wrestling Way. And as always, download our podcast on any major podcasting app that you see fit. Download, like, subscribe. Please leave a star rating and give us any kinds of feedback that will help make this the best listening experience for you.
We want to hear your ideas. We got guests in mind, subjects, topics, comments, whatever it is. We want to hear it. We love a good spirited debate. You heard our list of guests. Harass those people. Get them to do our show.
I don't think harassment's the way to go.
Harass them all.
Start an aggressive letter writing campaign.
There you go.
And if you're listening and you were mentioned, give us a call. We want to have you on the show. We apologize about missing last week. We're going to try our best to make sure we don't miss any other future episodes.
And I'm coming back. I'm telling you right now, I'm coming back, whether you like it or not.
I'll get you in here before you leave.
We got more stuff. I'll dig up some dirt.
Like us, share, subscribe.
Yeah.
Give us a 5-star rating. Join us again next time for another episode of Truth, Justice, and the New England Pro Wrestling Way.
You didn't ask me for my final thoughts.